Meet Julian. And right now, she's running for her life. A week ago, her gas was cut. Today, the electricity. All she has is 20,000 won to survive for 2 weeks. But the man chasing her, the one she calls father, he wants it all. This isn't just a chase for money. It's a fight for tomorrow's meal, a fight for a shred of dignity. Just give me the money, he screams. But for her, giving it up means giving up everything. Her past was a nightmare, a drunkard father and a broken home. Every penny she saved, every dream she built. He'd just come and smash it all. This time, it ends. A shove, a fall. And as the cold concrete rushes up to meet her, her last thought isn't of revenge. It's a simple, heartbreaking plea. Just grant me some peace. But death wasn't the end. It was a reboot. A voice, gentle and warm, whispers a name. Mabel. She's reborn. Not just anywhere, but into the lap of luxury. She's now Princess Mabel of the freaking Ermino Empire. Her last prayer for peace. It seems like someone upstairs answered with a cosmic upgrade. From a broke part-timer dodging a deadbeat dad to an imperial princess with doting parents. My parents, she thinks they sound kind, but old scars run deep. Will they change too? For now, though, she's a princess. A literal princess. Let's be real, it's a hell of a step up from being broke. The catch? Her new mother died in childbirth. And her father, the emperor, well, in stories like this, the dad usually blames the kid, right? Our girl is already bracing for the cold shoulder. But then, a man with silver hair and gentle eyes leans over her crib. My father, she thinks. Wait, this dude's way too young and handsome. As he reaches out to gently touch her cheek, every alarm in her soul screams. The trauma from her past life kicks in hard. He's going to hit me. In her mind, she's no longer a princess in a palace, but that helpless girl cornered in a dark alley. But the blow never comes. Instead, there's a soft touch and a proud whisper. That's my girl. This man, he's not like the other one. He promises to protect her, his eyes full of a love she's never known. But Joel, now Mabel, can't accept it. She's built walls around her heart. People give you love, then they change. She tells herself she doesn't need it, won't expect anything. We're born alone, we live alone, and we die alone, right? Just as she resolves to live a low-key life, destiny drops a bombshell. A prophecy echoes across the continent. At the end of the East, the seed of resurrection has been planted. And guess who they think that seed is? Yep, our girl Mabel. The Holy Abelardo Empire is spamming her father with letters demanding they hand her over. But her new dad, Emperor Estevan, is having none of it. He goes from doting father to absolute tyrant in a split second. Those damned Abelardo bastards. He's not giving up his daughter. Not for prophecy, not for anything. Tell them I refuse. I will not change my mind under any circumstances. While kingdoms fight over her, Mabel is dealing with a more immediate problem. Being a baby is so boring. You can't move, you can't talk, you just exist and get sleepy. It's infuriating. Adding to the chaos is her new older brother, Oscar. This kid is absolutely smitten with his new sister, thinking every stare is her acknowledging him. Being watched 24/7, even while eating, is driving her crazy. So she starts a secret training regimen. Wiggling her fingers, trying to hold her head up, she's determined to fast-track her own development. Amidst this frustration, she overhears the maids talking about a guardian deity that hatched on her birthday. A golden-furred cat-like creature. This sparks an idea, a goal. She needs to see this deity. Her chance comes during her first trip outside. When Oscar mentions going to the forest to find the deity, she knows it's now or never. She unleashes the ultimate weapon, a baby's cry. "WAH," she wails, thinking, "Take me with you." And then the masterstroke. She babbles a single, repeated sound. Kit, Kayet. Everyone is stunned. Did she just say kitten? Oscar is heartbroken his name wasn't her first word, but Mabel's plan is working perfectly. She pretends to be a baby genius obsessed with kittens, manipulating them into taking her exactly where she wants to go. This ain't no ordinary baby. This is a baby tyrant in the making. And it works. Deep in the forest, a creature shimmering with golden light appears. The guardian deity. It's real. Mabel is ecstatic. This world is full of wonders she never imagined. But just as she's taking it all in, a sneeze scares the magical cat away. Bummer. On the way back, the mood shifts. A woman with sharp green eyes watches them from a balcony. Duchess Donovan, Oscar's birth mother and the Emperor's ex-wife. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Mabel feels it instantly. And as if that wasn't enough drama for one day. Boom! An explosion rocks the palace grounds. Shouts, chaos, and a sense of imminent danger. Her peaceful, pampered new life? It looks like it's officially over. A tragic past life, a pampered present. Our girl got reincarnated as Princess Mabel, thinking she'd hit the jackpot. A crazy, powerful emperor for a dad. A sweet older brother, the whole 9 yards. But make no mistake, this ain't no heartwarming childcare story. A prophecy calls her the world's savior, and that title is basically a giant magnet for high-level trouble. And just moments ago, an explosion ripped through the palace's peace and quiet. Chaos erupts instantly. Alarms blare, knights scream through the courtyard. Protect the princess. But against this absolute power, the elite guards are like paper dolls, frozen in place, unable to move a muscle. A dark figure emerges from the smoke, his target singular, the baby in the carriage. Through the window, Mabel sees him clearly, and his ominous red eyes are locked right onto hers. Oh, our eyes met. The assassin murmurs, as if he's found something amusing. But just as he's about to make his move, thud, he collapses without warning, out cold. Mabel is stunned. He's down. The entire palace is shaken. The report flies to the emperor. It's the demon of Devlin. He went wild during his transfer, and he ran into Princess Mabel. The next second, the pressure in the room drops to zero. The Emperor, Esteban, is just listening to the report, but the very air around him begins to warp. What did you just say? He doesn't even raise his voice, but the invisible energy is already out of control. Smash! A priceless antique teacup disintegrates into dust. His aide is terrified. Why, Your Majesty? Calm down. That teacup was... The Emperor rises slowly, his eyes holding a cold fury that could freeze hell over. I must see Mabel at once. This isn't just concern. This is the kind of rage that burns worlds. Thankfully, the crisis was averted. Our baby tyrant is safe and sound. She even got gifted the entire northern forest just for saying her first word, kid. Emperor Dad's love is just that simple and over the top. Days pass. Mabel is now 3 months old, and just when you think things are getting back to normal, new trouble comes knocking at the palace gates. The visitors are priests from the Holy Abelardo Empire, or, in the Emperor's words, a bunch of crafty bastards. He tore up all their letters, but they showed up anyway, uninvited. And they get straight to the point. We are here for the princess. The Emperor's face darkens instantly. That's Princess Mabel Gardenia Erminot to you. He corrects them, every syllable a warning. We call her Winter, the priest says with a smile, dropping an unfamiliar name. The sacred name bestowed by the oracle. They claim Mabel is the prophesied seed of resurrection, the hope from the eastern end of the continent, and they demand to take her back to Abelardo for her own protection. Protection? Sounds a lot like kidnapping. The Emperor's patience is shot, but he's bound by an old alliance, unable to just toss these guys out. After a tense standoff, the Emperor makes his final offer. They can see her, but from a 60-foot distance. No touching, no magic, no divine power. When the priests finally lay eyes on Mabel, a sickening feeling washes over her. Her divine power, it's nigh infinite. The head priest says, his eyes gleaming like he's appraising a rare treasure. Mabel is completely creeped out by his naked stare. This vibe, it's all bad. The Emperor senses his daughter's discomfort and immediately gives them the boot. Mabel is clearly uncomfortable. You are to take your leave now. The priests, though reluctant, have no choice but to depart. But on their way out, they leave a parting shot. Until we meet again, Princess Mabel Winter Gardenia Erminot. They deliberately emphasize that sacred name, as if declaring ownership. The threat couldn't be clearer. Late at night, Mabel finally gets a moment to herself. She feels uneasy, like a liar enjoying a family's love she doesn't deserve. She has to grow up fast and leave this place. Just then, thud, a soft noise from the corner of the room. It wasn't the wind. It wasn't her nanny. Someone just snuck in. That same nauseating feeling from earlier returns. A white-robed figure appears silently beside her crib, leaning in. So you were awake. It's that priest. Mabel's mind races. He's here to kidnap me. Her only weapon now is the cry of a baby. Plan activated. She takes a deep breath, ready to unleash an Oscar-worthy performance to wake the entire palace. For most babies, the first big challenge is learning to walk. But for our girl Mabel, her starter quest is a prison break. Yup, that's her new dad, desperately trying to escape with her, away from the one person she trusts, her nanny. With all her might, she reaches out, screaming, "Nanny!" You'd think they'd be proud of her incredible motor skills, right? Nope. For these two grown men, her father and grandfather, it's just another arena to prove whose genes are superior. One praises her talent. The other throws shade about the family's swordsmanship dying out. It's a high-stakes competition of compliments, and our girl is just caught in the middle, thinking, I don't get why you're fighting. The plan is simple. While they're distracted, sneak over to Nanny. But in this palace, you're the main character, and everyone wants a side quest with you. Her father reaches out. Come to me, your Imperial Highness. The grandfather dashes over too. She's internally screaming. How do they expect me to choose? Whoever I don't pick will act like the sky is falling. And just then, a true hero appears. Oscar, the silver-haired boy, the only one who doesn't treat her like a political trophy. Oscar, I've never been so glad to see you. In a family full of drama kings, this 6-year-old is her only solace. Little does she know, this small moment of peace is just the calm before a massive storm. Meanwhile, on the losing side of this fairy tale, things aren't so rosy. Meet Montague, the guy who just failed his one and only job, kidnapping a literal baby. The price? A lifetime ban from the Ermino Empire, courtesy of the Emperor. This, as he puts it, complicates things. And if you think his boss is going to be understanding, you'd be dead wrong. In this organization, failure is not an option. I failed. Montague knows His Holiness will never forgive him. And sure enough, he's met with nothing but scorn and derision. And then, the cold, hard truth hits her. Her perfect new life? It's built on a lie. She wasn't just being protected. She was being used as bait. A tool to test the security around the so-called seed of God. A giant shadow looms over her, revealing that this newfound peace is anything but secure. So who's the mastermind pulling the strings? Meet Michael Abelardo, the Holy Emperor. A guy so shady. He does everything through proxies and never reveals himself. A ghost with a crown, and his sights are set firmly on our girl, Mabel. But even as a coveted political pawn, you can't escape the ultimate boss battle of babyhood, teething. And the pain is real. The worst part? While she's suffering, the adults think her pained expression is cute. Nanny? Why are you laughing? I'm in pain. She is, to put it mildly, shocked. But with great pain comes great teeth. And teeth means she's one step closer to actually being able to talk, to telling these weirdos what's really on her mind. Teeth. My teeth are finally coming out. She cheers internally, her eyes beaming with hope. Of course, in this palace, a baby crying from teething pain is a national event. And everyone gathers around to marvel at how cute she is. Our girl is just done with these people. What? Me crying is cute? These weirdos are enjoying themselves while I'm in unspeakable pain. And here comes Dad of the Year, ready to solve the problem with his wallet. She's teething? Gift her a forest. She's crying? Give her a castle. Bro, she's 1 year old. She wants a teething ring, not real estate. I don't want anything else. That's already way too much, she screams in her mind. Dad clearly doesn't get the message. He thinks she wants a cookie. And his solution? I shall give you the palace's head chef. Logic has officially left the building. But hearing this, Mabel's eyes light up. Okay, she'll take that deal. Just when things couldn't get crazier, the real threat arrives. A letter from the big bad himself. An invitation from Pope Michael Abelardo to celebrate Mabel's birthday. Yeah, right? This isn't an invitation. It's a declaration of war. But her dad isn't having any of it. He doesn't just decline the invitation. He shreds it to pieces in front of everyone. Send one saying that he can go to hell. Holding his daughter, with 2 swords at his back, he's ready to protect her at all costs. I have both the justification and ability to protect my daughter. His response? A deceptively polite letter of welcome. But this isn't just a party invitation. It's a trap. The Emperor is setting the stage for his master plan, a confident, dangerous smile playing on his lips. There are 2 months to go. I can hardly wait for that day to come. For the first time, Mabel, or rather, the soul of Julian, truly sees her new self. Pink hair, blue eyes like something out of Dollhouse. Wow, this is the first time I'm seeing myself. Her heart thumps. It's a little embarrassing to admit, but I'm so cute. Yes, she's come to terms with her new look. She has the Emperor's eyes, her birth mother's hair. This tiny body carries the marks of her new family and the identity crisis of a fully grown soul. Every day, there's a new dress, tailor-made just for her. The servants treat her like a deity. This life of being utterly cherished is a stark contrast to her tragic past. But beneath all the luxury, she can't shake a feeling of unease. I have my birth mother's hair. Whenever she hears something about her, she's not sure how to react. It's a tangled emotion, a mix of her new identity and a confusing connection to the mother she's never met. Everyone in the palace loves her, to an almost crazy degree. Maids squeal at the sight of her, but are forbidden from getting too close, lest they wrinkle her dress. And just then, a knock at the door. A white-haired man in a magnificent formal uniform steps in. The mood shifts from adoring to tense. It's the Emperor, her father. And wow, he cleans up nice. Wow, he looks different in formal dress. He gently lifts her into his arms and whispers, "Happy birthday, my darling daughter." Birthday? Her heart skips a beat. In her past life, no one ever cared about her birthday. When she got older, she always spent them alone. This is the first time someone has ever wished her a happy birthday. So this is what it feels like. It's so warm, it almost brings tears to her eyes. Of course, this emperor's love is a bit peculiar. He holds her close while telling her, "Don't sully your precious eyes by looking at him, Mabel." Our girl can only think one thing. This guy is absolutely out of control. Worst boss ever. And now, it's time to enter the banquet. Oh God, her heart's racing. In this life, she's met fewer than 10 people. Once those doors open, so many eyes will be on her. She's scared. A large, warm hand pats her back gently, as if to say, "Don't worry. I'm here." "You don't need to make a good impression on them," her father whispers. "In fact, they're the ones who must make a good impression on you." Is that an appropriate thing to say to a 1-year-old? Absolutely not. But thanks to that ridiculousness, she's no longer nervous. Just then, the announcement rings out. His Majesty the Emperor, the son of our empire, and Her Imperial Highness, Princess Mabel Gardenia Ermino. Being the center of attention is so uncomfortable. She just hopes this banquet ends quickly. Someone gently sets her down, but wait, where did they put her? Why does this seat feel so regal? She looks up, and her mind goes completely blank. She's sitting on the imperial throne, on her first birthday. What in the actual heck is going on? I would like to welcome all of you to the celebration of my dear daughter, Mabel's first birthday, her father announces, but she's not listening anymore. Why am I sitting on the imperial throne? She's so nervous, she can barely breathe. Everyone's eyes are wide with shock. And her ridiculous father? He's proudly boasting about how she's a genius who started walking at 8 months. Mabel is so annoyed she could scream. Just then, her eyes land on a group of envoys in white cloaks. The delegation from Abelardo. Her heart sinks. That man who tried to kidnap her, Montague. Could he be among them? Fear grips her. Behind all the fake smiles and celebration, real danger is lurking. Mabel. Her father's voice pulls her back from her fear. The wretched man who attempted to steal you away was banished. See? What a relief. He gently strokes her cheek. That large hand gives her a sense of absolute security. No matter what lies ahead, in this moment, she is safe. Happy birthday, Mabel. Oscar's voice is full of genuine joy. He explains that he wanted to be the first to wish her well, but was forbidden by her childish father, the emperor. Mabel looks at these two, an emperor and a future heir, fighting over who gets to say happy birthday first. She can't help but think, "You're so incredibly childish, Emperor. However, I'll be the first person to give you a birthday present." With that, Oscar presents a beautiful necklace. "It's my very first birthday present to you, Mabel." Her eyes light up, tears welling. This is the first birthday gift she's received in 2 lifetimes. She nods emphatically yes. "I like it." The hall is filled with mountains of presents, which she initially mistakes for Christmas decorations. Turns out, they're all for her. But the emperor sees her surprise and thinks she's disappointed by the quantity. "Don't worry," someone reassures her. "Your father has a wonderful gift prepared for you." Mabel flinches. She has a very bad feeling about this. Just then, she feels it again. That gaze. An intense, probing stare that sends a shiver down her spine. Her eyes follow the feeling, landing on the white-cloaked delegation. Who is it? Who's staring at me like that? As we celebrate the princess's first birthday, I have an announcement to make, the emperor declares solemnly. He looks down at his daughter and says, just for her to hear, "I shall give you this empire." Mabel's brain short-circuits. What? What did you just say? No, I must have heard him wrong. This has to be a dream, because what he just said is completely absurd. Giving the throne to a 1-year-old baby. As a magnificent crown is slowly placed on her head, she keeps telling herself it's just a dream. But the emperor's next words shatter her delusion. "To Mabel Gardenia Ermino." Oh my God! The entire hall erupts. The nobles are stunned, completely unable to process what's happening. A baby has just become the supreme ruler of the empire. This has to be the most ridiculous coronation in history. And in the shadows, people are smiling. The Abelardo envoy smirks. "We won't be able to bring the seed of God back with us." But there's no disappointment in his voice. Elsewhere, in imperial noble schemes, I plan to make Mabel empress. Everyone thinks they're the player, and poor Mabel has just become the most important piece on the board. Behind this insane plan is the emperor's cold, hard calculation. He knew Abelardo would use the prophecy to demand custody of Mabel. His answer? Make her the empress. As the ruler of the empire, no one has the right to take her away. It's a simple, brutal, and utterly irrefutable solution. After persuading Marquis Gardenia, the next step is Duke Donovan, Oscar's father. The Emperor has already laid the groundwork. He knows that to protect his own son, and for the future of the Empire, the Duke has no choice but to side with him. And for Oscar, this is all happening without his knowledge. His father finds him and asks a soul-searching question. Do you truly wish to become Emperor? For the boy who has been raised his entire life as the heir, this is the first time he's ever been asked to consider his own path. I'm not sure. He's never even considered another path. Becoming emperor was his purpose, his parents' wish. It wasn't a title he could claim because he wanted it, or refuse because he didn't. It was destiny, a heavy responsibility. But when the emperor explains that this is all to protect Mabel, Oscar's heart wavers. For the girl he's sworn to protect, he's willing to give up everything. He doesn't want to be emperor. He wants to be the knight who protects the empress. I'm all for it. Oscar replies without a moment's hesitation. As long as Mabel is safe, nothing else matters. Looking down at the sleeping Mabel, his resolve is set in stone. And if Mabel becomes empress, I will become a knight to protect her. The boy makes a silent vow. The thought excites him more than the crown ever did. This is the path he truly wants. Everything is going according to plan. The emperor had multiple strategies prepared to convince Duchess Donovan. But surprisingly, she puts up little resistance. Did you discuss this matter with Oscar beforehand? She asks. The emperor calmly replies, Oscar has no desire to become emperor. He is far more skilled with a blade. The Duchess lets out a small chuckle. Besides, he himself told you he had no desire to become emperor, did he not? That pauses the emperor. He never spoke to Oscar directly. But the nobles are already murmuring. But your majesty, her imperial highness, is still very young. She cannot possibly oversee the affairs of the empire. So she's just an empress in name only? Someone speculates. The nobles figure a baby empress will be easier to control than the whimsical emperor. They think they've figured all out, that they've won. But they have no idea this is all part of the emperor's game. And Mabel, the newly crowned empress, is finally starting to understand something too. On the other side of the crowd, a woman with golden hair and red eyes, the saintess of Abelardo, is seething that her plans have been foiled. How dare you? Take my daughter from me. Her fury promises another storm is on the horizon. Your holiness. Now we won't be able to bring her imperial highness to Abelardo. Her subordinate reports frantically. But the mysterious figure in white is unervingly calm. We cannot take her yet, she murmurs, as if seeing into the distant future. I can see it. Within that tiny body lies immense divine power, waiting to awaken. But there's no need for me to be the one to trigger its awakening, she continues. We will retreat for now. Her eyes gleam with an all-knowing light, as if everything is under her control. She knows that eventually, Mabel will seek her out. When will you bloom? I wonder, she whispers, gazing at Mabel from afar. She has already seen the ability latent within Mabel, a power that is both immense and destined to bring great suffering. She is simply waiting for that flower to bloom and then to wither, because that ability of yours will torment everyone around you. A smile plays on her lips. In the end, you will eat away at yourself, and then you will seek me out. It's not a request. It's a prophecy. Meanwhile, the emperor is quite pleased with his plan. He successfully countered the threat from Abelardo. Now all that's left to do is to keep Mabel safe. The only thing that troubles him is that he never actually asked for Mabel's thoughts on the matter. And finally, the newly crowned empress, our 1-year-old Mabel, issues her first and loudest royal decree in her babbling voice. Done one empress, she cried. A full-blown, earth-shattering tantrum. I just turned a year old today, you insufferable moron, she screams internally, letting out all her anger and protest. The entire palace is thrown into chaos by the little empress's fit of rage. What are you people doing? Are you seriously just going to stand there and let it happen? She rages in her mind. Your emperor just handed over the empire to a 1-year-old child. Why isn't anyone objecting? She can't understand why this is happening, why no one is stopping this madness. After crying all night, she wakes up feeling completely drained. Her eyes are swollen shut. An overwhelming sense of grief and powerlessness washes over her. She's just a baby, yet she's been saddled with the weight of an entire empire. And then, a more horrifying thought dawns on her. Her grandfather, Oscar, Duchess Donovan, their calm reactions could only mean one thing. Don't tell me. They all knew? Were all of them in on it? A tidal wave of betrayal crashes over her. She thought she found a family she could trust, but they were all part of it. The anger ignites again, and this time, she wails with the pain of being utterly deceived. She decides to protest in the only way a baby can, by crying nonstop. But the servants don't get it, thinking she's just hungry. Just then, With all her might, she utters a word. Pa. Pa. Wait. No. That's not what she's trying to say. It's revenge. But the maids completely misunderstand. Oh, she must be saying, Papa, I think she wants to see His Majesty. Revenge? Fat chance. She barely made a dent in the Emperor. The only damage done was to her own tiny hands. Being a baby sucks. At least as an adult, you can eat all the ice cream you want. She's determined to find the real culprit and make him pay. She's going to make the moron who put her on the throne regret it. With her combat power at max, she takes her first wobbly steps towards her target. Left foot, right foot. She waddles towards the man and crashes right into him. I'll make you pay for this, she roars internally. But what greets her isn't the cry of a vanquished foe, but a warm hug and ice cream. Is this what happiness tastes like? It's so delicious. But wait, Ack, this isn't why I came here. Was my grand plan for revenge just defeated by a spoonful of ice cream? So while our little tyrant was getting bribed with a spoonful of ice cream, her grand plan for revenge on pause. On the other side of the empire, a real storm was brewing. Inside the grand hall, a single shout cuts through the silence. Your Majesty, the dark-haired aide, Gustav, scrambles to support the staggering ruler of the empire. This silver-haired emperor, pale as a sheet. And it's not because of state affairs or some dark curse. Nope, the reason is painfully simple. He just misses his daughter. I miss Mabel, he whispers weakly, leaving the ministers speechless and thinking. Bro, your separation anxiety is reaching critical levels. Gustav is about to lose his mind, seeing his emperor fall into a depression just because his daughter rejected him. It's both pitiful and infuriating. No matter how dejected you feel, you must look after yourself. But advice is useless. The emperor just shoots him a cold glare that screams, it appears you haven't had enough work to do lately. And just like that, Gustav shuts up. The suffering of the common office worker is universal. But then, a glimmer of hope. Your Majesty, I heard Her Highness has been going out for walks every day. Gustav hoots. The moment he hears the name Mabel, the sickly emperor is instantly cured, dashing out the door like a bolt of lightning. The only person capable of quelling that rage is his precious daughter. Gustav chases after him, panting and praying. For God's sake, please don't do something unwise. Meanwhile, our Princess Mabel is enjoying a peaceful afternoon snack. Sunshine, gardens, tasty treats, this is the life. Suddenly, a gentle shadow falls over her. It's the silver-haired man. He just watches her quietly, his eyes filled with adoration. The attendants whisper in awe, my goodness. Mabel's hair has grown by approximately 1.4 millimeters. Guys, your focus is a little weird right now. Mabel feels the stare, and her little mind goes on high alert. Someone's here. She tries to sound the alarm. Someone is here, but all that comes out is a babyish her. Ugh, this infant body is so inconvenient. She thinks in frustration. Suddenly, a fluffy yellow creature leaps out, startling Mabel. It's a chubby cat. It jumps right onto the swing, lands on her lap, and starts purring with satisfaction. And just like that, Mabel's heart melts. She reaches out her tiny hand, gently stroking the cat. Who's a potty kitty? She coos. Her heart thumps, a warmth she never felt in her past life wrapping around her. The cat closes its eyes, soaking in the affection. But in that moment, a voice speaks directly into her mind. That's right. Look over here. It's me. Mabel flinches. Am I hearing things? The voice returns. No, you're not. Oh God, what fresh hell is this? Our girl is seriously considering just passing out to escape it all. The source of the voice is the cat in her lap. Do you seriously expect me to eat this? It asks, poking disdainfully at a pile of cat food on the ground. Its tone is unbelievably arrogant. Mabel is stunned. Turns out, this adorable-looking kitten is a divine messenger, her guardian deity, hatched from an egg on the day of her birth to serve her. Mabel's internal monologue is screaming. I'm maybe a baby, but my guardian deserves better than cat food. The cat god immediately gets the message. Understood, then bring me some delicious human food. This guy doesn't seem very bright. From then on, Mabel gained a chatty, arrogant companion that only she could understand. While the maids praised the cute little guardian, the cat was actually screeching. I can hear all your blasphemous thoughts. This hilarious contrast makes Mabel's new life feel more and more interesting. But good times are always fleeting. Soon, she's whisked away to be fitted for a new dress. Don't go. I'm starving over here, she protests silently. In this magnificent palace, Mabel is living a life she couldn't even dream of before. Warm hugs, endless affection. Everything feels like a beautiful dream. She's almost ready to let herself drown in it. But the shadows of her past life still haunt her like ghosts. When she sees the blonde knight and hears that her emperor father fell ill from missing her, her first reaction isn't to be touched. It's suspicion. He ignored me? Of course he did, she thinks with a bitter self-mockery. It didn't make sense for him to dote on me in the first place. What parent would love a strange child who doesn't smile or hug them back? The trauma of being abandoned makes it impossible for her to believe she's worthy of love. What she doesn't know is that the emperor is simply restraining his urge to hug her, afraid he'd scare her away. He gazes at his daughter's sleeping face, filled with contentment. Thankfully, she seems to be doing well. And so, a month passed in seemingly peaceful daily life. By day, she was the little princess crawling on the grass, adored by all. By night, she was a lonely soul licking her wounds. But after a dark night, the distant dawn approached. Until that one day, when Mabel woke from her sleep to find everything had changed. It wasn't her familiar nursery, but a breathtakingly grand hall. The heavy doors creaked open, flooding the room with blinding light and the roar of a crowd. A man in magnificent imperial robes stood in the light. It was her father. He held a bouquet of blue flowers, looking at her gently. "Long time no see," he said softly, but Mabel's mind had already gone completely blank. Wait, wasn't I asleep in my room? Why is he dressed up like that? Where am I? She found herself sitting on a massive, ornate throne. Below, countless pairs of eyes were staring up at her with fervent devotion. Her heart began to beat uncontrollably. The officiant's solemn voice echoed through the hall. To give assent to the succession of the imperial line of Vermino, place the crown upon the head of your successor. Mabel's brain short-circuited. Who are all these people? What the hell is going on? No way, is this my coronation? She wanted to scream. I said no. I don't want to be empress. She tried to stand up and run, but her baby body wouldn't obey. How dare you make such a major decision about my life without my consent? In her panic, all she could manage were meaningless shrieks. No empress. Don't wanna. But to everyone else, it just sounded like adorable baby talk. EMPWE. Done wanna. She struggled with all her might, feeling like a helpless puppet. In a fit of rage, she kicked a nearby jewelry box. Get out of my sight, she roared internally. The silver-haired man, her father, simply watched it all unfold. But what happened next left her utterly dumbfounded. The hall erupted in thunderous applause. The rumors were true. Princess Mabel has the makings of a great ruler. Such a noble and valiant kick, huh? What is wrong with you people? Her father, the emperor, was beaming with pride. And look at how clearly she expressed herself. She will surely become a great monarch, not easily swayed by others' opinions. He smiled, gently placing the crown on her head. I'd expect nothing less from my daughter. The old crown was tossed aside in a corner as a brand new one, made just for her, was placed on her head. A new empress deserves a new crown, the man said with a smile. Mabel was floored. When did you even have this thing made? This empire is beyond hope. Amidst the roaring cheers, Her Majesty, the new Empress Mabel, had only one thought. This country is doomed. All her acting out was useless. She was assigned a new room, her heart filled with rage and helplessness. To make matters worse, she was assigned an aide, Gustav. This dude, battle-hardened from working with the Emperor, is immune to the word no. Mabel's declaration of no work was utterly defeated by his cheerful smile, and there isn't any work to do today anyway. The next day, she has to greet her subjects. Mabel feels a stress unlike any she's ever known. The only thing she should be holding in her hand is a cute rattle, not a freaking crown. A country ruled by a 1-year-old? What a joke. It's only a matter of time until it collapses. And if that's the case, a cold smirk plays on Mabel's lips. Fine. This empire is doomed anyway. I'll ruin it all myself. She clutches her rattle, her eyes glinting with determination. Let's see if you people can still keep me on the imperial throne then. From today on, my goal is to be dethroned. Her days as empress passed by at a snail's pace. The nobles started using meetings with our adorable little empress as an excuse for all sorts of shady business. Take this guy, Marquis Gardenia. With a smile that bright, you just know he's up to no good. He just got back from the southern mines and has already heard all the rumors about the 1-year-old ruler. At first, he paid no mind to a 1-year-old child. But now, things have changed. This little empress's existence has completely shifted the empire's power dynamics. The battle between the nobles' faction and the emperor's faction has silently begun. In the meeting room, the two factions exchange smiles that don't reach their eyes. The air is thick with tension. That is, until an aide announces, His Majesty, the former emperor, has arrived. And there he is, holding Mabel. The nobles immediately deflate. They were hoping the former emperor wouldn't show. Mabel is placed on the conference table, her cold eyes scanning everyone in the room. Her internal monologue? All I see are a bunch of fools. The meeting is boring as hell, until a certain phrase catches her attention. The demon of Devlin. A report says this killer has reappeared on the border, but his behavior was unusual. He stopped mid-slaughter, as if he'd suddenly come to his senses. The name feels strangely familiar to Mabel. Next up, a divorce petition. Viscountess Vincent. This is her third time submitting it. The Viscount moved his mistress into the main building and banished his wife to an annex. Wait a minute. Vincent? That name hits Mabel like a dagger, piercing straight through her memories. It's him, her good-for-nothing father from her past life. The scum who caused his wife's death and passed off his illegitimate child as the heir. A firestorm of rage ignites in her tiny body. That absolute piece of trash. I sentence. Vincent. She forces the words out of her throat with all her might. To death. Her baby talk turns her command into do. Death. The ministers look at each other, completely confused. Do death. In the end, it's the former emperor who figures it out and bursts into laughter. Mabel slams the table in frustration. That Viscount Vincent. Put him to death. But the adults just find it hilarious. Ha ha ha. So has your dear old grandfather, the blonde man cackles. Mabel's face turns beet red. These idiots, they're making fun of me, aren't they? Nobody took her command seriously at all. They just quickly stamped the approval for the Viscountess's divorce and then praised her. Look at how well she's stamping that document. Whatever she did, all she got were smiles and applause. It was the most frustrating feeling in the world. Just you wait and see. I'll be dethroned if it's the last thing I do, she vows internally. At that moment, two boys sneak into her room. One blonde, one silver. The blonde boy, Lean, gasps the moment he sees her. Goodness, he'll be breaking hearts left and right when he grows up. The silver-haired boy, Oscar, shoves him aside and carefully picks Mabel up, rubbing his cheek against hers. I heard you were obsessed with your sister, but I didn't expect it to be this bad, Lean remarks dryly. Mabel looks up at these two future sword masters, her father's pupils. Lean, realizing his disrespect, immediately drops to one knee. Your Majesty, I momentarily exercised poor judgment and showed you disrespect. Seeing his frightened expression, Mabel reaches out a tiny hand and gently pats his head. You Fajuan, you're forgiven, she says in her garbled baby voice. The boy looks up in surprise, his eyes sparkling like stars. Mabel, how could you? Another voice suddenly shouts. It's Oscar. Mabel is completely bewildered. What? What did I do? Turns out, Oscar had leaned in too, looking at her with puppy dog eyes that screamed, I want head pats too. With a sigh, Mabel puts her other hand on his head. Looking at the ridiculous picture they make, she can't help but sigh internally. Seriously, I just don't understand kids. Our story kicks off in a land soaked in mud and despair. Meet Aiden, a knight whose soul has long since checked out. Bound by an immortal curse, he's nothing but a puppet for a dark master. Slit their throats. The voice in his head echoes, a venomous whisper he can't escape. His life has no purpose, no meaning, just endless slaughter. But then a light. On a mission to assassinate the enemy's royal family, his eyes meet those of a newborn baby. And in that single moment, it felt like every chain holding him shattered. Maybe, just maybe, this child was his one shot at freedom. And scene change. Welcome to the Ermino Empire, where our protagonist is anything but a tortured knight. This is Princess Mabel, born with a diamond spoon in her mouth. In her past life as Julian, her good-for-nothing father cost her everything, including her life. But now, she's been reborn as the Empire's most doted-on princess. With her personal attendant, Gustav, waiting on her hand and foot, life's pretty sweet. But don't let the cute baby act fool you. Inside this tiny body is a full-grown soul who remembers every bit of her past misery. And she's already set a new life goal, taking down the very emperor who seems to adore her. Oh, this is going to be fun. As the Empire's official mascot, Mabel has to sit through the most mind-numbing council meetings. And it's here she gets a front-row seat to corruption. This one red-headed fox, Duke Javier, has a monopoly on the Empire's lifeblood, power crystals, and he uses that power to shamelessly line his own pockets. The other nobles can only grit their teeth, with only Mabel's grandfather barely keeping him in check. Seeing that smug look on his face, Mabel's tiny fists clench. Inner monologue. Just how big of a bribe did that guy accept this time? Yeah, it's about time these old fools learned what a baby tyrant can do. Just as Mabel was plotting her next move, a surprise power-up drops into her lap. She can suddenly understand animals. And that seemingly ordinary cat of hers, Blossom, Turns out, he's a guardian deity. You have this power, he purrs, because you were chosen by God. And get this, the ability is just starting to blossom. Soon, she'll be able to communicate with all living things. Chosen by God? Destined to save the world? Mabel doesn't have time for all that. Right now, only one thought is running through her mind. Perfect. This new skill is exactly what she needed. That arrogant duke won't know what hit him. The plan is a go. To break Javier's monopoly, the imperial family needs a new source of power crystals. And so, our baby orchestrates a little accident. She accidentally knocks over an inkwell, making a huge mess in Gustav's office. While the attendants are scrambling to clean up, she stealthily slips a document she prepared into the pile. It's a proposal to purchase a seemingly worthless iron ore mine in the southwest. The handwriting is terrible, the result of months of secret practice for her tiny baby hands. Exhausting? Yes. But for the checkmate to come? Totally worth it. The result? Flawless. Guided by intel our girl got from chatting with some local moles, that worthless mine turns out to be a massive deposit of power crystals. Just like that, the Empire's energy crisis is solved, and Duke Javier's trump card is turned to dust. Mabel, our one-year-old strategist, just won the first round with her wits and a little help from the animal kingdom. She smirks, thinking, this little ability is more useful than I expected. I can't wait to see the frown on that arrogant face of his. Yep, a tyrant smile is a dangerous thing indeed. While enjoying the sweet taste of victory, an unexpected guest arrives, Duke Javier's son, Enrique. Unlike his father, this golden-haired boy seems sweet, almost naive. But when Mabel spots a cleverly hidden bruise on his cheek, the traumatic memories of her own abusive past come flooding back. A bug bite? She thinks, a cold sneer forming in her mind. No, she knows a bruise from a punch when she sees one. In that instant, all the joy of her victory vanishes, replaced by a chilling rage and a sliver of empathy. Turns out, even your enemies can be living in their own personal hell. His first plan failed, so Duke Javier immediately plays his next card, a marriage proposal. The absolute nerve of this guy, proposing a union between his son Enrique and Princess Mabel. The letter ignites a political firestorm. The entire court is in an uproar. But no one is more furious than Mabel's seemingly stoic emperor father. He literally burns the proposal to ashes. And when he later sees another young boy accidentally bump into Mabel, he goes full-on overprotective dad mode. A surge of dark energy erupts as the emperor issues a completely unhinged decree. From this moment on, all boys between the ages of 5 and 15 are forbidden from entering the palace. But the emperor's ridiculously broad ban has some collateral damage. Mabel's friend, the gentle, silver-haired Oscar, is now barred from the palace. Seeing the worry on his face, Mabel knows she has to do something. But what can a baby do? She thinks of the one person she'd rather not ask for help, her mysterious, always smirking Uncle Lissandro. But for her friend, she'll make the call. And so, just as Oscar is turned away from the gates, completely bewildered, our baby tyrant makes her grand entrance, reinforcements in tow. The real show is just getting started. Faced with the guard's bureaucratic line of, I must report to His Majesty first, Mabel's tiny face darkens instantly. You gotta be kidding me. She didn't just move heaven and earth to get reinforcements only to be told to wait. But the guard clearly isn't taking a baby's glare seriously. So, our baby tyrant decides to teach them a lesson. She puffs out her little chest and, with all her might, squeaks out the most earth-shattering sentence. I'm da empereur. The air freezes. The soldiers just stare at each other, brains completely short-circuiting. Is this a baby's babble? Or a direct order from the future empress? My outers are more important than my fatas, she adds, leaving no room for argument. And that's the final blow. The soldiers are completely rattled. Technically, the princess is the future emperor. Her orders, in a way, they do have a higher priority. With a little smiling permission from Sir Donovan, the night her uncle Lissandro sent, the guards finally cave. And just like that, Mabel struts in, head held high, with her friend Oscar in tow. See? Rules are made to be broken, especially when you're a tyrant who knows how to play the game. Of course, things weren't always this smooth. Just a few hours earlier, convincing her sly, always smirking Uncle Lissandro to help was a whole negotiation. First, she played the cute card, pleading with him to help get Oscar into the palace. In response, Lissandro played dumb, even teasing her about having a crush. And get this, the dude then tried to take her snack. Seriously? A grown man trying to swipe a kid's dessert. Mabel was raging internally, but on the outside, she had to keep that baby smile plastered on her face. The real checkmate move was hitting Lysandro right where it hurt. She knew Oscar was a student, and more importantly, that Oscar was terrified of Lysandro's sister, Duchess Donovan. If Oscar were sent back, he'd be in for a rough time. Using this as leverage, she even sacrificed her absolute favorite strawberry cake, pushing it towards him. Lysandro, amused by her acting like a tiny adult negotiator, burst out laughing and then, ironically, fed the cake right back to her. Deal done. A little humiliating, but hey, a win's a win. This uncle of hers is a real piece of work. But the sweet taste of victory didn't last long. Her peaceful life was like thin ice, ready to crack at any moment. The Emperor assigned her new knights, and then, the one person she never wanted to see showed up, Duke Javier. He still had that all-knowing look in his eyes, speaking in a mocking tone only she could truly understand. "It sounds like you're quite disappointed to find that there is no puppy here, Your Majesty," he asked with fake sympathy. Mabel sneered internally, but then his tone shifted, turning cold. "I'm not here to speak about a puppy, but about my son." The moment he finished speaking, killing intent filled the air. A poison dart whizzed past her cheek. An ambush! Here, in the heavily guarded imperial palace. The maid screamed, snatching her up as knights drew their swords. Chaos erupted. Shouts of "Protect Her Majesty" echoed everywhere. Mabel's mind went blank. The horror of her past death came flooding back. Asterisk, they're after me. The prophecy, it's real. They're really going to kill me. Asterisk. No, I don't want to die. I refuse to die like that again. An overwhelming will to live exploded within her tiny body. Just as an assassin's arrow flew towards her, a power she never knew she had awakened. "Help me," she screamed in her mind. The next second, the sky roared with a deafening buzz. A biblical plague of wasps, like a black tornado, poured out of thin air, instantly engulfing the assassins. What is that thing? Wasps. Act. The screams were horrific. And in that moment, a silver flash cut through the chaos. "Mabel!" Oscar charged in like a bolt of lightning, his sword a blur as he dispatched the remaining enemies. He rushed to her side, pulling her into a tight, desperate hug. "Everything will be fine. I'm here now." His gentle voice finally allowed her frayed nerves to relax. But the cost of her power, combined with the sheer terror, was too much. Her vision faded to black, blood trickled from her lips, and she lost consciousness completely. Mabel was out for 3 whole days. And in those 3 days, her tyrant father nearly tore the palace apart. The Emperor's rage was a force of nature, interrogating everyone, even threatening the royal physicians with death. Her 2 older brothers stood vigil by her bed, their eyes filled with a mixture of worry and murderous intent. The investigation yielded results quickly. The assassins were from a mysterious organization called Devlin, and pulling the strings behind it all was the hypocritical Duke Javier. When Mabel finally woke up to see her family on the verge of tears, she felt, for the first time in this new life, the warmth of being truly cherished. But she knew that warmth had to be protected with strength. Through her spirit companion, Kit, she confirmed her suspicions. Duke Javier was the mastermind. The man who protected her during the attack was just putting on a show. "I'll make him pay for that." Mabel clenched her tiny fists. She had to get stronger fast. Strong enough to protect herself and everyone she cared about. But her enemies wouldn't give her time to prepare. On the very day she made her vow, alarms blared through the palace once again. The demon of Devlin is attacking. This time, it wasn't some small fry assassins. It was a legendary monster. The Emperor himself drew his sword to face the threat, and a world-shaking duel erupted in the snow. The enemy was a man with black hair and crimson eyes, impossibly powerful, and he made his objective terrifyingly clear. "Bring her to me. Your daughter, the Emperor." The battle between the Emperor and the demon was apocalyptic, shaking the very foundations of the palace. Mabel could feel it. The man was getting closer. His target was her. She remembered this man. In her past life, he seemed to have been there too, with the same obsessive madness. Who was he? Why was he so fixated on her? Fear and confusion warred within her. Just when everyone braced for a bloody, fight-to-the-death conclusion, the man known as the demon did something that left everyone absolutely speechless. After breaking through every line of defense and finally reaching Mabel, he retracted all of his killing intent and knelt. "Please, take me under your wing." He bowed his proud head, his voice trembling slightly. "I wish to become your subject." What? This insane plot twist left everyone on the scene, including the Emperor, completely petrified. "Varen, the Emperor of Devlin?" The girl's voice trembled, her grip tightening on her weapon as shock painted her face. The man before her, the one with jet black hair and crimson eyes, stood like a statue carved from pure tragedy. His voice, a low rasp, finally broke the silence, tearing open an old wound. Varen forced me to the border and deliberately set me on a rampage. His mind drifted back to a battlefield soaked in crimson, a massacre orchestrated by his own hands. I was mind-controlled by Varen into killing people. The words hit our girl like a physical blow. Mind-controlled? So this legendary demon of Devlin was nothing more than a puppet on a string? I no longer wished to wake up and find myself surrounded by corpses. His head hung low, chained in the darkness of a dungeon, his voice thick with exhaustion and despair. I never want to go back there. So that was it. That's why he called himself Varen's dog. Our girl, Mabel, reached out a tiny hand, her fingers brushing against the cold iron bars. The loneliness of her past life, the helplessness, it echoed in this man's suffering. They were both just pawns in a cruel game, desperate to break free, but with nowhere left to run. But why'd you come here? Mabel's voice was small, laced with a fear she tried to hide. The man's gaze was an abyss, and she flinched under its weight. A cold smirk touched his lips, dripping with self-loathing. Varen despises the Emperor of Erminot. To see his well-trained dog defect here, he'd hate that. He paused, his voice dropping lower. I massacred my own empire's army. There is nowhere for me to go back to. Oh, Mabel's heart sank. This was a soul with no way out, a man abandoned by the entire world. If you turn me away, his words were a cold blade pressed against Mabel's heart. She looked at him, at those red eyes that had seen endless slaughter and pain, and something deep inside her stirred. He's lived through all that, all by himself. That loneliness, she knew it all too well. It was the same darkness that had consumed her in her past life. No, this time, she wouldn't let it happen again. Not to him. Majesty. The guard's voice was panicked, but Mabel just offered her most innocent, angelic smile. Using her cutest, baby-accented voice, she declared, "Yubitu wisten to me and Empu Esteban. Then I promise I'll let you stay here." Her voice was small, but it cut through the dungeon's chill like a ray of sunshine. The chained man, Adon, slowly looked up, and for the first time, a flicker of something other than despair crossed his face. He gave a slight, almost imperceptible nod. Emperor Esteban will be most displeased. The guard muttered, but Mabel's mind was made up. Absolutely not. He's too dangerous, she said aloud, but her heart told a different story. Being chained up like that must be painful. She turned back to the cell, her voice softening. Adon, sorry for keeping you chained up. Just you wait. I'll get you out of them. And just like that, clang. The sound of shattering metal echoed through the dungeon. Adon's chains exploded outwards, the links flying in every direction. He just stared, a giant question mark practically appearing over his head. The culprit? The guard who brought the snack basket, now wearing a smug grin like he just won the lottery. And our little princess, Mabel? She just stood there, eyes closed with a perfect Humi expression. Bro, was that an accident or a 5D chess move? Adon looked at the tiny girl, and for the first time, he thought, this might actually get interesting. Does this put you at ease? Adon asked, all nonchalant, as if he didn't just snap magical restraints like they were made of string cheese. Mabel's internal monologue was just a screeching itch. Huh. So, he let himself stay, chained up just to make them feel better? Yikes. This guy wasn't just dangerous. He was playing on a whole different level. The handmaidens were freaking out, urging her to leave. Your Majesty, we really must be going. Yeah, Mabel agreed, but her mind was elsewhere. All right, Adon. Before she could finish the thought, his low voice cut through the air, a phantom green rose blooming in the space between them. This is for you. How is he in the dungeon? I am curious. Mabel probed. Her attendants immediately went on high alert. No, Your Majesty. Everything about the hostage must be kept secret. And more importantly, why are you so interested in him? Mabel let out a groan. Ugh, adults. But then, a spark ignited in her eyes. A brilliant, devious little idea began to form. Fine. If they wouldn't tell her, she'd just have to find out for herself. Mabel leaned on the windowsill, blinking innocently at a pair of mice. I have a favor to ask. Could you go to the dungeon? Before she could even finish, the alpha rat puffed up its chest, squeaking furiously. We hate the dungeon, squeak. The humans in the dungeon are mean and dangerous, squeak. Okay, so the direct approach wasn't going to work. Time 4. Plan B. I'm not asking you to do it for free. Cheese. Mabel threw her arms wide, as if summoning a dairy apocalypse. The Rat King's eyes lit up. Squeak. It cleared its throat. Did I say how much I love dungeons? Squeak. It's all dark and damp. My favorite. Wow, that tune changed fast. With a conspiratorial grin, Mabel issued her secret orders. Keep an eye on the kid imprisoned at the lowest level. See what he says, who he meets, and if anyone does anything bad to him, things like that. Watching her little mouse spies scurry off, Mabel clenched her tiny fists. Stay strong, Aiden. I'll get you out of that dungeon soon. But even as she made the vow, she couldn't help but worry. After all, she was just a baby, and the forces moving in the shadows of this empire were anything but. A sudden, immense pressure filled the air, and Mabel froze. Emperor Esteban. She turned to see the silver-haired man, her new father, staring at her with an unfamiliar, ice-cold intensity. Mabel, why have you been acting so recklessly as of late? His voice was calm, but it held the weight of absolute authority. Oh crap, he knows. If he goes on another rampage, you might very well get caught up in it. Esteban's tone was stripped of its usual playful nature. Promise me that you will never go see him again. It was an ultimatum, but all Mabel could think was, but I promised him. I told him he could stay here. I need to keep that promise. She took a deep breath, and with all the strength her tiny body could muster, she uttered a single word. And no, you're already calling him by his given name? Esteban staggered back, his face a mask of disbelief. But Mabel didn't back down. She clenched her fists, looked him straight in the eye, and declared with all her might, imitate responsibility for Aiden. Responsibility. That one word. It hit the Emperor like a physical blow. Take. Responsibility. Esteban's voice cracked. He turned away, bracing himself against the windowsill, his shoulders trembling. That word. It was too much. He thought of the daughter who had always been so cold, so distant, no matter how he tried to reach her. And now she was saying she'd take responsibility for that scoundrel? A sharp ache pierced Esteban's chest. He remembered a Mabel who was indifferent to everyone, ever since she was a baby. He thought he was used to it, but the image of her, fired up and passionate for someone else, it was like a hot poker to his heart. The jealousy was overwhelming. Why is it that you're so interested in that scoundrel? A chilling smile crept across Esteban's face, his eyes sharp as daggers. Why on earth has my dear Mabel taken such a liking to that foul villain? He supposed he'd better go see that damn Aiden for himself. A royal showdown, fueled by pure, unadulterated jealousy, was about to go down in the dungeon. Meanwhile, in the dungeon, Aiden was feeling something he hadn't felt in years: peace. Mabel had sent him a snack basket with a little note attached. ISS good, so don't forget to try some later. He looked at the basket, a small, unfamiliar smile tugging at his lips. And in her own warm bed, Mabel smiled too, making a silent promise. And I'll ask Emperor Esteban to get you out of here, so please be patient. Two lonely souls, connected by a simple act of kindness, were feeling the world's warmth for the very first time. I don't eat sweet things, Aiden thought to himself, but picked up a pastry from the basket anyway. Just then, heavy footsteps echoed down the hall. Step, step, step. A massive shadow fell over his cell. So you really did free yourself from the enchanted restraints. The voice was cold as ice. It was Esteban. The inevitable confrontation had finally arrived. To think mere chains would be sufficient to restrain you. My soldiers grossly underestimated you. Esteban scoffed, looking at the broken shackles on the floor. Shame on me. His eyes, sharp as a hawk's, bored into Aiden. Explain to me why you marched into Ermino. The pressure from Esteban was suffocating. With a single touch, the iron bars of the cell crumbled to dust. It is only due to my acquiescence that you still remain on Ermino soil. Answer me, demon of Devlin. Aiden looked up, his red eyes a storm of pain and defiance. He finally spoke the truth. I am being mind-controlled by Varen. Mind control. Esteban's eyes narrowed. I've been killing people for as long as I can remember. Aiden's voice was hollow, devoid of emotion. My free will stolen, unable to tell friend from foe. However, his tone shifted. For the first time, a flicker of something like hope ignited in his eyes. I was captured and brought to Ermino, and I met your daughter. It was then that Varen's curse began to loosen its hold. For the first time, I felt my sanity return, the fog in my mind clearing. Esteban remembered the report, how Aiden had abruptly stopped his rampage at the border, standing frozen amidst the carnage. Could it be? Was Mabel? Was that tiny baby the cause? Distance doesn't matter, Aiden added. Although the closer I am to her, the better. Esteban's expression was a mix of suspicion and dawning understanding. He couldn't fully trust this man, but his story, it explained everything. I don't quite agree with Mabel, he said coldly. I cannot fully trust you. Things were getting complicated. Very complicated. As Esteban turned to leave, his eyes fell on the small basket. This is Mabel's snack. His mind reeled. That little girl, his precious daughter, gave up her favorite snack, the one she looked forward to all day, for that bastard? The flames of jealousy, which had been simmering, erupted into a full-blown inferno. Time passed, and soon, Mabel's second birthday was just 2 months away. And what did that mean to her? So what? Her inner monologue was flat. For a girl with the soul of an adult and a single-minded goal of getting dethroned, a birthday party was just another annoying obstacle. She had tried everything to make people hate her. Plan A, throw a tantrum. No, go away. Done wanna be imp. Whoa. The result? What a strong personality. She clearly takes after me. Failed. Plan B, play dead during meetings. The result? She's finally started to open up to us. Failed again. Ugh, being a despised tyrant was way harder than it looked. But lately, something had started to shift. When she'd pulled on a stave-on sleeve, pleading for Adon, she saw a flicker of something in his eyes. And when she started wondering whether to call him emperor or father, she realized she was actually starting to enjoy this newfound family. The feeling was both warm and terrifying. But she couldn't falter. This year's birthday party, the people she hated would be there. She had to seize this chance and get dethroned, no matter what. Meanwhile, Estevan was agonizing over the perfect gift. It had to be amazing and spectacular, something worthy of his darling daughter. With both of them plotting, this was shaping up to be one hell of a party. When Mabel saw her reflection, her heart did a little BA bump. Whoa, she actually looked magnificent today. The handmaidens fawned over her, but Mabel's focus was already locked on her master plan, Operation Dethronement. This year will be different from the last, Mabel told herself. Her pronunciation wasn't perfect, but she could talk, and she was big enough to walk on her own 2 feet. She took a deep breath and announced internally, Her Majesty the Emperor, the son of our empire, Mabel Gardenia Erminot. Let's go. With that internal war cry, Mabel Gardenia Erminot's journey to dethronement officially begins now. She put on her sweetest smile, but her eyes were gleaming with determination. She wasn't just going to a party. She was going to war. Come here, Mabel. Her father's gentle voice called out, and she took a wobbly step forward. Happy second birthday, sweetheart. The entire ballroom's attention was on her. Perfect. The stage was set. The audience was ready. It was time for her performance to begin. Lift your heads, all of you, Mabel announced from her throne, her baby voice echoing through the hall. The gift-giving ceremony began. Showtime. She watched as the nobles presented their rare and priceless treasures, with only one thought in her mind. Be greedier. Be more unreasonable. Crystals forged from the core of a rare monster. Uninterested. The fur of a wolf king. Indifferent. Mabel kept her best. I'm not impressed pout firmly in place, playing the part of a spoiled little tyrant to perfection. Seeing the growing anxiety on the nobles' faces, she cheered internally. Yes, that's it. Hate me more. The House of Gardenia has offered up ownership of a building in the heart of the capital. Hearing this, Mabel almost broke character. A building in the capital? Grandpa, are you serious? No, stay calm. Keep pouting. Seeming indifferent is the key. Right, time to put the plan into action. She took a deep breath and screamed at the top of her lungs. This is not enough. Give me more presents. She threw her arms open, making her grand declaration. From today on, I am an avaricious tyrant of an emperor. But she never expected what happened next. Her grandfather, Marquis Gardenia, didn't get angry. Instead, he dropped to his knees, his face filled with shame. Words cannot express how deeply ashamed I am at having presented your majesty with such a meager gift. What? Mabel was stunned. This was not in the script. She wanted them to hate her, not make her own grandfather grovel. This plan was officially going off the rails. I intended to give you the entire shopping district, but my aide misunderstood. Before her grandfather could finish, Enrique leaped up. No way. I'm sure Marquis Gardenia didn't mean that. Gift her with the entire shopping district. Oh, this was bad. This was very, very bad. Mabel looked at her grandfather's face, twisted in regret, and let out a silent, internal scream. Ahak! I made my own grandfather kneel in front of me. I'm the worst granddaughter in the world. Mabel's plan had not just failed. It had backfired spectacularly. The nobles were now in a frenzy, tripping over themselves to offer more and more extravagant gifts. Mabel just lay her head on the table, completely drained. Help me. And across the room, her father, Estevan, watched the whole chaotic scene unfold with a quiet, knowing smirk. And that's when Estevan presented his gift, an ownership agreement for the entire kingdom of Orphid. Last year, I gave you the empire. This year, I shall give you the next kingdom over. Huh? No, that's not at all. Mabel was screaming internally, but she was too exhausted to even protest. After the party, Mabel buried herself under the covers, feeling utterly defeated. After everything I've done, isn't it high time everyone got sick of me? Not only was she not dethroned, she was pretty sure she was going to develop a phobia of presents. This was a complete and total disaster. Happy birthday. Oscar's voice pulled her from her misery. He gently fastened a beautiful bracelet onto her wrist, its green gem sparkling in the light. All done. You can open your eyes. Looking at the bracelet, a perfect match for last year's necklace, a warmth spread through Mabel's chest. Next came a gift from Enrique, a box filled with exquisite chocolates. Even with Oscar huffing jealously beside her, Mabel could feel their genuine care. This was the kind of birthday present she actually wanted. Not kingdoms or shopping districts, but small, heartfelt tokens of affection. What Mabel didn't know, however, was that another gift had been intercepted. A divine artifact sent from Abelardo. Hide it, Gustav commanded coldly. Make sure Mabel never sees it. An unseen crisis was quietly approaching. Late that night, Mabel snuck out of her room and onto the balcony. It was the meeting spot Adon had requested via his mouse messenger service. What did he possibly want? Was he going to... The balcony was empty, save for a small pouch filled with gold coins and gems. Mabel picked it up and giggled. He left me a birthday present? Cash is king indeed. This will come in handy when I'm finally dethroned and free. She celebrated her little windfall, completely unaware of the pair of red eyes watching over her from the shadows of the nearby trees. The next morning, Mabel woke up with a big stretch, only to find a rock? A weird white rock was sitting on her bed. It definitely wasn't there yesterday. Curious, she reached out a tiny finger and touched its smooth surface. The second her finger made contact, flash, a torrent of power surged into her. A burning heat shot through her veins, like her insides were on fire. That rock, the divine artifact from Abelardo, had just awakened her latent power. My power is enhanced. A cat-like divine beast appeared before her, explaining the artifact's origin. Wait, Abelardo, does that mean I'm in danger? Mabel's face went pale. This sudden power-up, was it a blessing or a curse? While Mabel was still processing her new reality, news of severe drought arrived from the west. With unrest growing among the nobles, a new plot began to surface. We shall hold a rain-calling ceremony, one of them declared. And the centerpiece of this ceremony? The emperor with divine power. Mabel. No, Mabel is far too young to make such a public appearance. Esteban immediately shut it down. But to everyone's surprise, Mabel herself agreed. I'll do the rain-calling ceremony. A cunning glint appeared in her eyes. A political plot? To her, it just looked like another opportunity. I'll go on one condition. Mabel turned to the mastermind of this little scheme, Duke Iavidi, and gave him her most angelic smile. The cost of food, water, and relief supplies will no doubt be staggering. I'm sure that won't be a problem for the wealthiest family in Ermino. Will it, Duke? The Duke's face turned a delightful shade of green. And just like that, Mabel left the palace for the first time in her life. Not only did she turn a political trap into her own power play, but she also managed to bring Adon along. The reason? With the shortage of knights for the ceremony, it's too dangerous to leave him behind. A perfect excuse. She watched his figure in the procession, a curious smile on her face. I have a lot of questions for you, Adon. I'll keep you safe, no matter what happens. Oscar promised, squeezing her hand. With her caring brother by her side, the mysterious man she was so curious about nearby, and a journey into the unknown ahead. Mabel's heart was beating faster than ever before. And you know what? It didn't feel half bad. In her last life, she died from her father's neglect. In this one, she was being loved by the fathers in her world in their own clumsy, yet sincere ways. Today, I will show you that your faith in me is deserved, Esteban vowed, holding her close. The procession began to move, carrying this reborn soul towards a future filled with both promise and peril. A new chapter was about to begin. For a kid raised within palace walls, the outside world hits different. She thought this was just some petty scheme by Duke Javier, a minor dry spell at worst. But the reality? Cracked earth, withered life, and a child crying for her mother, desperate for a drop of water. The palace never worried about thirst, but now, Mabel's heart thumps in sync with the distant drums of the ceremony and the silent prayers of the people. Can I really make it rain? The ceremony is grand, the drums beating like the pulse of fate itself. A little longer, the head priest murmurs, the ceremony will end once this flame is extinguished. End? For them, maybe. But for Mabel, this is where it all begins. She isn't here to play a part in their show. She's here to rewrite the script. She takes a tiny step, but it feels like it carries the weight of the world. The sun is blinding, the air so dry it could catch fire. But inside this small body is a soul that's known true despair. She takes a breath, her gaze sharp and unwavering. All right, let's do this. She squeezes her eyes shut, hands clasped so tight her knuckles turn white. She's pouring every ounce of her will, her faith, into this one moment. This isn't an act. This is a gamble with the world itself. Then, she screams in her soul, please fall. And then, the sky darkens. A single drop, then another. Rain begins to fall. A gasp ripples through the crowd, then an incredulous cheer. And the silver-haired man who's been watching her this whole time, he looks up, letting the cold rain hit his face. His expression is a mixture of shock and awe. This is rain. It's really raining. The joy of a people starved for relief explodes in an instant. They cheer, they hug, they thank the heavens for answering their prayers. Little do they know, it wasn't a god who answered them, but a tiny tyrant determined to protect this newfound happiness. The rain pours down, and the cheers of the people are deafening. Before Mabel can even savor her victory, a frantic voice pulls her back. Mabel, let's take cover. Oscar quickly wraps her in his cloak. If you stay out in the rain, you'll catch a cold. This guy, always putting her safety first. But the crowd's fervor is already out of control. Her Majesty has performed a miracle. Watching the former emperor get soaked to the bone while the people chant her name, Mabel is internally screaming. What? No, I don't want people to think I did this. I'm trying to keep a low profile here. But then, the plot takes a hilarious turn. The crowd starts yelling. It's Emperor Estevan. He's a swordmaster. Of course he can make it rain. Seeing Estevan's completely baffled face, Mabel almost bursts out laughing. She decides to just roll with it, cheering him on internally. That's right. Father, you're the best. Phew, that was close. Mabel lets out a sigh of relief. Watching the man who put out the ceremonial flame with rainwater get hailed as a hero, she flashes a sly smile. She was on the verge of winning the hearts and minds of the entire empire, and that would have been a huge pain. Meanwhile, in the shadows, someone is absolutely furious. A red-haired man stares out at the downpour, his eyes dark. It was sunny and clear. How on earth did those clouds appear out of nowhere? This isn't something a mere human is capable of. He whips around, only to see the blonde boy who was supposed to be on a mission. Father. Silence. The furious roar echoes through the room. You utterly useless fool. You couldn't even entice a 2-year-old child. The red-haired man, Duke Javier, grips his son's face, his eyes filled with disappointment and rage. Do you know how much money our family spent on this rain-calling ceremony? This ceremony should have failed, the Duke bellowed. Generations ago, it was the house of Javier that saved the empire from a devastating drought, elevating them from vulgar upstarts to powerful dukes. History was meant to repeat itself. He planned to use this drought to further aggrandize his family name and embarrass the imperial family at the same time. And now it's all ruined. He looks at his pathetic son and waves a tired hand. Get out. I can't stand the sight of you. The blonde boy, cast out into the cold rain, stands in a puddle. But the look on his face isn't one of despair. It's a cold, calculating smirk. This game is far from over. On the other side of things, our girl Mabel is completely drained. To think the rain would only stop if I asked it to my divine power, it's been drained dry. She sleepily peeks, open an eye, hearing someone give the order to depart. A word catches her attention. Home. That single word. It's like a key unlocking a forgotten door in her soul. Yes, home. Let us return as soon as possible, the gentle voice replies. Home. Mabel clenches her tiny fists. There was a time she could only watch with envy as her friends went home, to their families, who were waiting for them, because she didn't have a stable home life or a loving family. But now she also has somewhere to return to. Estevan is still fussing over her, vowing to procure the rarest medicinal herbs on the continent. But all she can think is, I done like bitter stuff? In this moment, she's not some prophesied savior. She's just a kid who wants warmth and maybe something sweet. The road home, it seems, is always filled with unexpected detours and secrets waiting to be unraveled. Back in the carriage, the pampering continues. You don't like bitter stuff, Mabel? Then I will bring you only sweet and delicious medicinal herbs. Her other brother, Lean, promises gently. Mabel leans back, her heart full. This unconditional acceptance, it makes her want more, and makes her want to protect it all the more fiercely. She's just enjoying a sweet moment with Oscar when she casually asks, what about Adon? And just like that, the mood shatters. Oscar's face goes pale, his eyes wide with shock. Adon, you mean Aiden? The devil of Devlin? Whoa, okay, so Mystery Man isn't just some random knight. The procession moves on. While the knights are sweating bullets about traveling with the devil, Mabel is glued to the window, completely thrilled. For the first time in 2 lifetimes, she's actually seeing the world. Campfires, starry nights, food roasted by her brother. Everything is new, and everything is warm. Nice, long nap, and you'll wake up back home. The promises of her family echo around her. Oscar is entrusted to look after her. Everything seems peaceful, safe. At the rear of the procession, the man they call the Devil of Devlin, Hedun, rides as a guard. His sharp eyes catch a familiar face in the escort, Viscount Dargo. That man's presence here is no coincidence. Mabel is drifting off to the rhythmic clopping of the horse's hooves when a sharp knock on the door jolts her awake. Her heart leaps in her throat. A sudden, chilling premonition washes over her. It's just Viscount Dargo warning them about a bumpy road ahead. A false alarm. The cozy atmosphere returns, with Oscar acting like a mother hen, shooing away anyone who might disturb her nap. Lean on me. I'll hold on to you if the carriage dash. Oscar's words are cut short by a deafening boom. The carriage lurches violently, as if hit by a giant fist. The illusion of peace is instantly shattered. We're under attack. Screams and the clang of steel fill the air. Mabel's mind goes blank for a second. Again, can't this world come up with a new plotline? Can't she have just one peaceful day? A blade with a strange pattern on it whistles past her cheek. Oscar shields her, his face a mask of terror. But Mabel forces herself to stay calm. We can't just sit here and wait, she says, her gaze locking with Oscar's, firm and resolute. No, Oscar tries to go out and fight, but Mabel grabs onto his cloak with all her might. I am coming with you, she cries, her voice trembling but full of an unshakable resolve. Father said you need to look after me. I'm staying right beside you. Oscar freezes, looking at his tiny sister, and a warmth spreads through his chest. All right, well, I'll keep you safe too. The battle outside is brutal. The attackers have at least 3 master-level enchanters among them. And there's only one power capable of mobilizing such forces, the Devlin Empire. Devlin? Again, Mabel's heart sinks. Seriously, what do they have against us? Just then, a volley of flame arrows rains down from the sky like a meteor shower of death. Watch out! As everyone braces for impact, Mabel simply looks up, her eyes cold as ice. Pathetic. And then the impossible happens. The deadly arrows, just moments from impact, simply fizzle out. They vanish in midair as if snuffed out by an invisible hand. What? The flame arrows are all disappearing. The knights are stunned, assuming their own enchanters save the day. Only Mabel knows the truth, as she quietly tells her brother, "Don't worry, Oscar." She looks up, her eyes shining like the cosmos. This time, she's not the girl who just accepts her fate. She clenches her fist, making a silent, solemn vow. I'll protect you. You think being reborn as an imperial princess means life is on easy mode, right? Think again. Our girl, Mabel, might be rocking a cute baby face, but inside, she's making a general's vow. I'll protect Oscar, Nanny, and Larima. Too bad reality hits faster and harder than any promise. Right now, outside the palace, all hell is breaking loose. Flames everywhere, guards scrambling through the smoke, desperately trying to find His Majesty. In the middle of the chaos, a red-headed dude rushes over, flashing a sunny smile like this whole disaster is just a backdrop. So you remember me? I'm truly honored, Your Majesty. But our little silver-haired knight, Oscar, has zero time for pleasantries. He grabs Mabel's hand, his voice sharp as ice. That's enough. Time is of the essence. Cut the chatter and take us to Father. At once. Yeah, he's not wrong. The fire's spreading, and if they don't move, it's game over. But the forest at night is never peaceful. The moment their feet hit the path, killing intent flooded in from all sides. We're under attack. A scream cuts through the night. Arrows rain down, and flames begin to devour the trees around them. Oscar instinctively pulls Mabel behind him, his voice tight with tension. Stay behind me, Mabel. She clings to him, a single thought racing through her mind. Oscar, be careful. The clash of steel is deafening, but Mabel's mind is racing. She coolly assesses the battlefield, a deep sense of unease creeping in. Something isn't right, she thinks. In a situation like this, there's one person who would have been the first to come running. An image of a silver-haired man flashes in her mind, her father in this new life. Where is he? Panic grips her. No way. But could it be that something terrible has happened to him? The thought sends a chill down her spine. And right then, a sinister pulse of purple magic radiates from nearby, thick with malevolent energy. A mysterious figure in a purple cloak appears in the center of a magic circle. Without a word, a deadly vortex of magic shoots straight from Mabel. "Watch out!" A guard roars, his voice filled with desperation. But it's all happening too fast. In the nick of time, Oscar yanks her into a tight embrace, taking the full force of the attack with his back. Mabel's mind goes blank. No, at this rate, Oscar will get hurt too. Her little heart hammers against her ribs. Kaboom! The purple energy explodes. Oscar is thrown by the massive impact, crashing to the ground, his body trembling uncontrollably. The attacker, it was a red-haired guard who was supposed to be protecting them. "Cicero, Your Majesty, are you all right?" Cicero asks with feigned concern, but the wound and blood on his back give away his act. Mabel sees right through it. "Cicero, he hurt his back while trying to protect me," she thinks, playing along. "I know it must be tiring, but it's too dangerous here. We must move quickly," she urges, already planning her next move. Sure enough, the next second, a cold blade is hovering right above her head. Cicero's sunny face is gone, replaced by the unfamiliar, malicious expression of a stranger. Mabel is too stunned by the sudden turn of events to speak, watching helplessly as a figure in black appears and disappears within a swirl of purple smoke. "It seems Your Majesty's figured me out. Shall we just get on with it?" Cicero's lips curl into a wicked smirk. Oscar struggles to his feet, yelling in terror, "Don't come any closer, Prince." But it's already too late. Cicero grabs Mabel, holding her hostage with his sword to her throat. He scoffs. "The Imperial Knights? Pathetic. I've been a spy in your empire for a year, and no one noticed. This guy, he's a spy." Oscar roars, "Cicero, let Mabel go." But the traitor just sneers, "Relax. At least I'll let her live. Sorry, but I have some business with this baby emperor." As he speaks, he uses a metal rod to pry open Mabel's mouth, preventing her from using any potential word-based magic. He declares triumphantly, "The paralyzing spell my liege developed should have put your emperor out of commission by now. He's probably getting beaten to a pulp by my men as we speak." Cicero's smile turns even more cruel. "Now, shall we go see that helpless former emperor?" His mission is to kill the emperor's beloved daughter right before his eyes. This twisted revenge plot sends a shiver of pure dread down Mabel's spine. "How dare he? You wretched scoundrel." Rage ignites within Mabel's tiny body. She takes a deep breath, gathering her power. The helplessness of her past life, the threats of her present, it all explodes in this one moment. "You won't get away with this." A golden light erupts from her, swift as lightning. The night is stormy, lightning tearing across the sky. After the flash of golden light, Mabel finds herself floating in the air, her expression terrifyingly calm. She's no longer a panicked infant, but something far more powerful. Cicero is thrown back by this sudden burst of divine power, screaming in agony. Mabel's mind roars, "Not me, or my father." The immense power overwhelms her small body, and she begins to fall back to earth. "Curses! Where do you think you're going?" Cicero bellows, chasing after her. Mabel's eyes are closed, but a small smile plays on her lips. Just as Cicero is about to grab her, a silver figure darts out, catching his outstretched hand. "Why, you little?" It's her father, Emperor Esteban. He somehow broke free from the paralysis spell. Seeing this, Cicero's face contorts with rage. He raises a poisoned dagger and lunges viciously at Mabel in the Emperor's arms. "You're a cute kid, so I was planning on making this quick and painless, but no, this isn't fair." The shadow of death looms over her once again. Flashes of her past life, abandoned by her father, dying alone, flood her mind. "I haven't even had a proper chance to live." She clenches her fist, defiant. "No, it can't end here like this," she screams with all her might. But the searing pain she expects never comes. Confused, she opens her eyes, only to see a dagger buried deep in her father's back. "Father!" The drip of blood, her father's pained cough, and his soft whisper, "Mabel." These sounds become her entire world. He shielded her, taking the fatal blow himself. "Your father is here now," he says, his smile weak as he tries to comfort her. "Do you remember the promise I made you? I swore, no danger would befall you, because I'll protect you." Cicero looks down at the fallen emperor with a cruel smile. "My master will be most pleased to hear of your death." He turns to flee, only to be surrounded by the knights who have finally arrived. "Stop right there, Cicero." Mabel kneels beside her father, her vision blurred by tears. She reaches out to touch his cooling cheek. "Mabel," he whispers, smiling as he uses his last ounce of strength to look at her. Her world shatters. "Why? Get hurt instead of me." Don't cry, Mabel. He gently caresses her face. Because you're my precious daughter, Mabel, whom I love, more than anything else in this whole world. I am no fool. Love, which I once believed to be true, will one day change and hurt me. Memories of her past life surface. That man, her biological father, was the same, abandoning her in the end. So this time, she should have expected no different. Father, please wake up. Don't go. Don't leave me. She calls out desperately, but his body grows colder. She's terrified of being abandoned again, terrified of returning to that world of cold, hunger, and despair. I'll be good. I won't pick at my food. The childish promise slips out. Yes, this man, this family, they crossed over the fence she built around her heart. He gave her the happiness she'd been yearning for. If you were going to leave me like this, you should never have. She holds him tight, tears streaming down her face. Shouldn't have left right when I'm finally starting to experience happiness. Don't leave me here all alone. The trauma of her past abandonment merges with the agony of the present, and she lets out a heart-wrenching sob. And in that moment, a brilliant pillar of golden light descends from the heavens, engulfing the entire forest. A sacred, warm power, as if responding to her grief. Golden light falls like rain. What is this? Rays of light are falling like rain. It feels warm, my wounds are healing. The surviving knights marvel. The power heals everyone, except for a black-robed figure hiding in the shadows, who senses the source of this power with alarm. This aura, far away, a woman senses the divine pulse. Back at the center of the battlefield, the glow around the Emperor begins to fade. He has transferred all his life force, along with that sacred power, to Mabel. The light in his eyes dims as his body begins to twitch. But on his face, there's a faint, relieved smile. He has used everything he had to complete his final act of protection. Mabel feels the immense power surging within her, alongside the ebbing of her father's life force. It's too much to bear. Her body goes limp, and she faints. Meanwhile, in another carriage, a red-eyed boy in a black cloak is coolly analyzing the situation. He recognizes the tactics of Emperor Varen of Devlin and knows there's a traitor among the Imperial Knights. He couldn't care less about the conflict between the two empires, but he absolutely cannot allow that child to be harmed. Viscount Dargo is hiding among the Imperial Knights here, he says suddenly. The guard beside him is completely baffled. What are you suddenly going on about, Demon of Devlin? And who is Viscount Darg? Before he can finish, a massive explosion rocks the carriage from outside. Looks like I was too late, the boy mutters. The ambush has begun, and the person he's meant to protect is now in grave danger. He knows the enemy's target is that baby emperor. 1 month later, a heavy silence hangs over the imperial palace. Mabel, the baby emperor now hailed as the seed of God, has fallen into a deep sleep after performing a miracle that healed everyone. Her father, Estevan, remains unconscious from his grievous wounds. Oscar is consumed by guilt and self-blame. He feels he doesn't deserve to see Mabel, convinced he failed to protect her and save his father. He can only swing his wooden sword day after day, venting his inner torment. And on that magnificent bed, Mabel's consciousness slowly returns. She touches her hair, feeling it's grown a bit longer. She looks down at her tiny feet and feels taller too. I'm really alive. Not as Julian, but as Mabel. She thinks of the family she's met in this life, of the unconditional love they've shown her. The feeling in her heart is overwhelmingly real. Let's not think about leaving anymore, she tells herself. Let's try living a normal life with my family. Just then, a knock comes from the door. Mabel, Daddy's here. It's Estevan's voice. He's awake. He pushes the door open, a loving smile on his face, as if everything that happened was just a bad dream. Daddy, tears instantly well up in Mabel's eyes. She finally opens her heart completely, accepting this long overdue, fatherly love. She throws herself into his arms, hugging him tight. I love you, Daddy. In this moment, she is truly reborn as Mabel. After patching things up with her dad, Mabel's finally starting to feel grounded in this new world. But that newfound peace, it's fragile, and she quickly realizes not everyone has moved on from the trauma. Case in point, her supposed big brother, Oscar. Ever since he witnessed his father getting hurt and her collapsing, the kid's been avoiding her like the plague. The boy who used to tease her, calling her tiny and round, is now nothing but a shadow of silence and distance. Mabel isn't having any of it. She storms into the training grounds, determined to get some answers. Oscar, but the moment he sees her, he looks like he's seen a ghost. His wooden sword clatters to the floor. He turns and bolts, his voice choked with a pain she can't understand. Don't come any closer, Mabel. I don't have the right to see you. What the hell is that supposed to mean? A knot of dread tightens in her stomach as she chases after him. In her haste, she trips and tumbles to the ground. Ouch! She looks up, tears welling, only to see Oscar rushing back, panic etched on his face. He kneels beside her. Are you all right? His hands, she notices, are covered in cuts from practice. She grabs his hand, getting straight to the point. Are you avoiding me, Oscar? Jew, hate me now. The words hang in the air, heavy with the tears she's holding back. She needs to know. Of course not. Oscar finally breaks. I said I'd keep you safe, but I couldn't. So that's it. This absolute dummy has been beating himself up, thinking he failed her, punishing himself with endless training. Mabel is overcome with a mix of frustration and affection. You idiot. You big dummy, she says, lightly punching his chest. Being family means we protect each other. That night, under a sky full of stars, the two siblings embrace, promising to be each other's protector. But this warmth becomes a trigger for a nightmare. Mabel dreams of her parents from her past life, abandoning her heartlessly all over again. This time, though, she's not as scared, because now she has a real family who loves her. In her dream, even her new family turns on her. Stop clinging to us. The fear feels so real it jolts her awake. But what greets her isn't rejection, but the worried faces of her father and Oscar. They've been by her side all night. Everything's fine, Mabel. We're right here. Looking at them, a powerful resolve takes root in her heart. My dad, my brother, I will protect both of them. And this happiness. She makes a silent vow. If anyone dares to mess with the people I care about, I will make them pay, even if it means I must become a tyrant. Her declaration, aimed at no one and everyone, happens to catch the visiting Bishop Clement from the rival Abelardo Empire, who just freezes on the spot. And this bishop? He's not here to play nice. He's supposedly here to check on the seed of God. But his real game is to use Mabel's unstable divine power to bring the entire empire under Abelardo's thumb. He drones on and on about her special status, trying to tack on a bunch of holy titles to her name. Mabel scoffs internally but keeps a sweet, innocent smile plastered on her face. Oh, the seed of God? So I'm like the second most special being in the world after God, right? She asks, batting her eyelashes. Then that holy relic of yours, Yelium, that should belong to me, shouldn't it? She holds out her little hand. Gimme Yelium. You expect me to change my name without getting something cool in return? No way. Faced with this flawless, greedy kid logic, the bishop is utterly floored. With one move, our girl completely shreds his political scheme. The bishop leaves with his tail between his legs, and her dad is beyond impressed with his daughter's sharp wit. Seizing the moment, Mabel makes her move. I want Adon as my personal guard. Adon, the man known as the Demon of Devlin, a highly dangerous individual. Everyone objects, but Mabel stands her ground. No, he won't hurt me, because she knows he's the ultimate trump card she needs against the threats to come. Mabel finds Adon. She doesn't need his blind loyalty. She needs an ally. You want revenge on Varen, right? She states, hitting the nail on the head. Want to crush Devlin together? Looking at this tiny girl, Adon sees his one and only path to freedom from his curse. He drops to one knee, offering his sword and his allegiance. Yes, your majesty. Use me however you see fit. Meanwhile, word of Adon's betrayal reaches the enemy. The man known as Varen, who thought he'd finally tamed the beast, now sees the leash has been broken. Adon, Estevan, this isn't over. A conspiracy against the Empire begins to brew in the shadows. Time flies, and just like that, Mabel is 5 years old. Doted on by everyone, she's living a fairy tale life. But beneath the calm surface, the undercurrents never stop churning. Adon is now her personal guard, silent and stoic, but always by her side. This, of course, drives her emperor dad wild with jealousy. The tension between those two? You could cut it with a knife. Even more serious is the unprecedented drought sweeping the empire. As its ruler, Mabel now finds herself stamping official documents, using her tiny hands to press a heavy seal, opening the national treasury to aid the people. The ministers watch her with awe, cooing over how cute she is. Man, she thinks, if I wasn't mentally 30 years old, you guys would have spoiled me into an actual tyrant by now. During a court meeting, Duke Javier suggests that since the princess is now 5, perhaps she should make her official debut at the upcoming founding banquet. Her father's first instinct is to keep her hidden away forever, but then he reconsiders. This could be the perfect opportunity to show the world that his daughter is not someone to be trifled with. He decides, Mabel will be the star of the show. However, the emperor's grand plan for her debut involves entrusting the preparations to his ex-wife, Duchess Donovan. That's right, the ex-wife. The moment Mabel hears this, her brain short-circuits, forcing her to deal with her dad's ex? This is way more stressful than running a country. But this is Mabel we're talking about, an opportunist to the core. She skillfully turns the awkward meeting into a chance to convince the Duchess to take her to Licavel, the capital's premier shopping street, to pick out a dress herself. And just like that, a very strange outing between a princess and a duchess is set. Before heading out, Mabel drops by to see Oscar and Adon training. She brings snacks, successfully getting the sweet-hating Adon to eat a cookie, which in turn makes Oscar practically steam with jealousy. This weird little love triangle is already giving her a headache. The meeting with Duchess Donovan goes smoother than expected. Oscar had warned her that the one thing the Duchess can't stand is ignorant people. So Mabel puts on her best performance, acting like a sweet, well-behaved, and intellectually curious child. And it seems to work. The Duchess appears to see her in a new light. The shopping trip that follows, however, is pure psychological torture. The Duchess unleashes a level of spending power that is simply terrifying. In every single shop, regardless of whether she likes anything, her verdict is the same: we'll take them all. This ultimate form of capitalism leaves Mabel both awestruck and utterly exhausted. She'll never understand the world of the mega-rich. Just as she's about to collapse, a familiar face appears. Enrique, the handsome young man before her, is the same cute little boy from 3 years ago. Enrique Javier, the son of Duke Javier, along with his equally adorable sister, Emily. Their arrival is like a breath of fresh air, washing away the fatigue of her crazy day. The Javier kids are sweet and innocent, nothing like their notorious father. Mabel has a wonderful time with them. But after they part ways, Duchess Donovan gives her a chilling warning. Your Majesty, it would be best for you to keep your distance from Duke Javier and his family. And with those words, a new shadow is cast over the upcoming founding banquet. Our girl Mabel is enjoying a peaceful day in the garden. Sunshine, gentle breezes, the whole royal princess package. Everything's perfect until an uninvited guest crashes the party. A dark-haired man approaches her knight, Enrique, with a smirk that screams trouble. So you are the demon of Devlin? He probes, his words dripping with insinuation. I heard through the grapevine you'd become Her Majesty's guard. This guy's clearly not here to make friends. The air instantly turns icy. Enrique, the golden-haired knight, narrows his eyes, but a cold smirk plays on his lips. I abandoned that particular moniker some time ago. You can practically see the sparks fly between them, a history of bad blood ready to boil over. And our girl Mabel, stuck right in the middle, looking like she's about to have a heart attack. She can sense the tension, the unspoken history between these two, and it is definitely not a friendly one. The dark-haired dude's eyes are locked on, full of suspicion and hostility. A storm is brewing. Get lost. The words are cold, sharp, and territorial. This is Javier territory, after all. Mabel is startled by the sudden hostility, but her protective instincts kick in instantly. Her tiny frame shields Enrique. If anyone should get lost here, it's us, she declares, mustering all her courage while clinging to her knight. Even scared, she won't let anyone bully her people. Seeing this small but fierce protector, Enrique's heart warms. With a gentle smile, he tells Mabel, I'll be going then, Enrique. See you later, his tone light, as if the tense standoff was nothing more than a brief interruption. But the dark-haired guy, Adon, clearly didn't see it as a minor interruption. He turns around, his face morphing into a gentle smile. Yes, Your Majesty. It was wonderful to see you again. That was a faster 180 than a pro skateboarder. The moment they're out of earshot, Mabel can't help but lecture him. Adon, why were you so rude to Enrique earlier? He's such a sensitive soul. She's genuinely concerned for her knight, completely oblivious to the complex emotions simmering beneath Idon's gentle mask. So don't ever do that again, all right? Idon's voice is low, carrying an undertone of command. Mabel freezes. He won't even answer her. And in Idon's mind, a storm is raging. His father's words echo in his ears. There's no doubt that he's of impure blood. This deep-seated prejudice makes it impossible for him to see Enrique as anything but a threat. To him, protecting the princess means cleansing her world of anything or anyone deemed impure. And the trouble just keeps on coming. At the party, a certain Lady Mitteron recognizes Adon, and her disgust is palpable. How dare he show his face at this party? She sneers. Someone of his ilk, serving as Her Majesty's guard? What a farce. The aristocratic food chain is on full, brutal display. Hearing those venomous words, Mabel feels a tremor of unease. A Lady Mitteron. She murmurs, knowing a social hurricane is about to make landfall. Mabel turns to Aiden, her voice soft. Aiden, are you all right? He gives her a cold glance, his voice flat. It doesn't matter. I'm used to such talk anyway. That one sentence pierces Mabel's heart. So, you've heard people speak of you this way countless times? She thinks, horrified. She can't imagine how much malice this stoic boy has endured behind his emotionless facade. Just as Lady Mitteron and her cronies are whispering amongst themselves, a sweet voice cuts through the air. Looks like quite an engrossing conversation you're all having. It's Mabel, approaching with an innocent smile, but her blue eyes hold a sharpness far beyond her years. Care to share what you were discussing? The group jumps, bowing hastily. Why, Your Majesty? The Queen has arrived, and the show is about to begin. Lady Mitteron's daughter tries to play it off. We were just talking about which styles of ribbon are currently in fashion, Your Majesty. Mabel tilts her head, her smile growing sweeter. Is that so? How strange. She says it softly, each word landing with perfect precision. My Aiden is not a ribbon. The moment the words leave her lips, the color drains from the other girl's face. The strike was clean, elegant, and packed with undeniable authority. Impure blood? Someone of his ilk. Mabel repeats their earlier words, her smile vanishing, replaced by an icy interrogation. The girl stammers, terrified. This is simply all a misunderstanding, Your Majesty. Her friend sees the writing on the wall and bolts. Mabel looks coldly at the one who remains. It seems I'm not worthy of attending this party. She turns, leaving a defiant back. This isn't just about defending Aiden. It's a declaration, you don't get to touch my people. If he is unworthy, then so am I. Mabel's voice rings through the garden. Lady Mitteron's face is a mask of fury, forcing her daughter to apologize. Under the gaze of the entire party, the girl is made to bow to both Mabel and Aiden, her body trembling with humiliation. Mabel watches with cool detachment. She knows this is just the beginning. The real war has only just begun. The girl's apology is completely insincere, and Mabel sees right through it. But it doesn't matter. The public humiliation was the point. Once the dust settles, she puts her sweet smile back on, as if the powerful queen from moments ago was just an illusion. But only she knows the truth. A much bigger plan is already brewing in her mind. On the carriage ride back, those hurtful words echo in Mabel's thoughts. Impure blood. Unworthy. She wonders how often has he heard such insults hurled at him to become so numb. This wasn't just a personal attack. It was a ruthless indictment of the entire class system. And she, as the supreme ruler of the empire, would not let this stand. That he can be so nonchalant about those words. A fire of rage ignites within Aiden. I cannot let this stand. Outwardly, he calmly answers Mabel's questions, but secretly, the wheels are already in motion. Intel arrives swiftly. Yes, the two men are apparently quite close. Count Mitteron operates a sizable gambling house and auction house in the capital, through which he appears to be making money illegally. A cold smile touches Aiden's lips. The fish is on the hook. A gambling house and an auction house, you say? Mabel flashes a devilish little smirk. Sounds like our guild is about to come into a lot of money. Aiden immediately catches her drift and tries to stop her. If you mean to go after Count Mitteron for my sake, nope. But Mabel cuts him off, her voice firm. No, this is my revenge for them daring to question my trust. So it's for my sake, not yours. Mabel's smile is radiant, but her tone leaves no room for argument. Let's start planning right away, Aiden. Faced with such a resolute queen, what else could Aiden do? He bows his head in deference. Yes, Your Majesty. This dynamic duo is about to unleash a storm upon the entire aristocracy. Duke Javier is using Count Mitteron to bankroll his activities. The intel reveals the puppet master behind scenes. So, Mitteron was just a pawn, and the real target is Duke Javier. They run a squeaky clean operation on the surface, but behind the scenes, they're cooking the books and siphoning off massive amounts of cash. A classic scheme, but too bad for them, they just ran into Mabel. If we apprehend Count Mitteron, Duke Javier will be left without a source of funding. Mabel sips her tea calmly, her eyes gleaming with strategic brilliance. Now then, let's go cut him off. As the words are spoken, a crack silently appears on the glass of the Imperial Palace, a symbol of the coming shatter. The meticulously planned takedown has officially begun. Princess Mabel arrives, and her entrance is nothing short of spectacular. A magnificent carriage, stoic guards. Every detail screams imperial authority. Today, she's here to visit Count Mitteron, in a way he most certainly won't be expecting. The plan unfolds flawlessly. A man claiming to be an employee of Mitteron's casino coincidentally appears before Mabel, tearfully exposing the Count's crimes. Count Mitterrand, furious and panicked, yells at his own daughter, "Are you just standing there? Apologize to her." He has no idea he's already trapped in Mabel's meticulously woven web. "The person you should apologize to isn't me, but my knight, Sir Aidan." Mabel's voice is quiet but powerful. She's making a statement for everyone to hear. Mess with her people, and you mess with the baby tyrant herself. Count Mitterrand grits his teeth in rage, completely helpless. Aidan watches it all, his eyes lowered, his inner turmoil hidden from the world. Watching the disgraced Count Mitterrand force out an apology, Mabel allows herself a sly little smirk. Ah, the sweet taste of revenge. This isn't just for Aidan. It's for the powerless version of herself from her past life. In this life, she will bring every single person who wronged her to their knees. With Mitterrand dealt with, Mabel is in high spirits, already planning for the future. "We're going to confiscate his manor and use it as our guild office," she tells Aidan. Her tone is casual, as discussing the weather. Aidan looks at her innocent smile, but his mind is elsewhere. He whispers, "I think it's time for you to bring the you-know-what." A blush creeps onto Mabel's cheeks. Could it be? The whispers are everywhere. The one from Devlin, said to be Her Majesty's favorite. Why does she insist on keeping such a dangerous individual around? Mabel hears every word, and she couldn't care less. A cold thought forms in her mind. We'll see if they're able to keep running their mouths like that after what happens today. A powerful energy surges within her, and with a sudden scream, something shatters. What's all the commotion? Amidst the chaos, a smirk plays on Mabel's lips. A man bursts in, shouting in panic, "Your Majesty!" Seeing this, Count Mitterrand roars with rage. "How dare you barge in here? Take him away." He still thinks he's in control, completely unaware that he's the one about to be dragged out. The intruder is pinned down by the guards, but he keeps struggling, pleading, "Your Majesty, I beseech you, lend me your ears." The Count furiously orders his men to get him out. But then, Mabel speaks, her voice calm and clear. "Wait." The entire scene falls silent. All eyes turn to this tiny figure. She may be a child, but the innate authority she commands is enough to silence the entire room. The man, Hansen, kneels and begins to reveal all of Count Mitterrand's crimes. Rigging the casino, keeping 2 sets of ledgers, embezzlement. The accusations are detailed, damning, and backed by evidence. As he listens, the color drains from the Count's face. All he can do is let out a hollow chuckle to mask his rising panic. The scales of power are tipping fast. "Hold your tongue, Count Mitterrand." Aidan cuts in, his voice like ice. "You dare defy Her Majesty's will." When questioned, Hansen confesses that he too was once blinded by greed, but for the sake of his family, he decided to come clean. His heartfelt confession makes Mitterrand's desperate denials seem even more pathetic. "Daddy." Hansen recalls his daughter's innocent smile and his wife's gentle gaze. They are the reason for his repentance. He can't continue doing things that would bring shame upon them. He's willing to pay for his crimes, asking only that his innocent family be protected. The profound love of a father moves everyone present. Mabel listens quietly, memories of her past life flooding back. Villains had used her family to threaten her too. She looks at the desperate man before her, feeling nothing but cold contempt. He's even more shameless than she imagined. She cuts off Mitterrand's attempt to defend himself, smiling sweetly. "It's all right. I have plenty of time. If you are innocent." She doesn't finish, but her icy gaze says it all. "Game over. I will personally ensure your name is cleared." Mabel's voice echoes in the hall. Aidan grabs Mitterrand by the collar, roaring in his face before shoving him away. Everything is proceeding according to plan. Count Mitterrand's downfall is here. Just as Mitterrand tries to destroy the evidence, the 2 ledgers, Hansen throws himself forward, screaming in despair. No. It's his only lifeline and the key to bringing down the Count. The pages scatter, the damning records of their crimes laid bare for all to see. But Aidan is faster. He anticipated this move. He presses down on Mitterrand's hand, a triumphant smile playing on his lips. Everything is under control. He's the one directing this little play. If what Hansen is saying is indeed true, Count Mitterrand, you'd better brace yourself for what's to come. Mitterrand trembles, still muttering, "It's all eyes." But Mabel just smiles and gives the order to Aidan. "Seize him." Aidan crumples the evidence in his hand and coldly carries out the command. The board is cleared. As he's dragged away, Mitterrand is still screaming, "I'm innocent." But no one is listening anymore. Mabel leans toward Aidan and whispers, "You brought Hansen at precisely the perfect moment." "Thanks." Aidan replies, "Not at all. I was simply acting on your orders." The young princess smiles, victorious. Everything went exactly as she planned. Oh, I was just thinking that. Mabel says, looking at Aiden's stoic profile with a happy grin. You and I make a great team. Though Aiden's expression remains unchanged, a flicker of something soft, almost gentle, seems to dance in his red eyes. Framed by roses, this young master and servant look like they were made for each other. On a stormy night, the former Count Mitterrand, stripped of everything, howls pitifully at Duke Javier's gate. Duke Javier, please open the door. You're the only one who can help me. He pounds on the door in desperation, rain and tears mixing on his wretched face. He's pinning his last shred of hope on his ally. But inside, Duke Javier is coldly dismissive. No, there's no need to let him in. In his eyes, Mitterrand has outlived his usefulness. What a fool, he thinks with contempt. Time and time again, I advised him not to dirty his own hands. Once a pawn is no longer useful, it's discarded. Such is the brutal law of the aristocratic world. But Duke Javier's smugness doesn't last long. His subordinate reports the entirety of the former Count Mitterrand's wealth has ended up in someone else's hands. What? Javier is floored. This means all the money he invested in Mitterrand is gone. Poof. Even worse, if he tries to claim his dividends now, he could be implicated in Mitterrand's crimes. He tried to be clever and ended up losing everything. The bad news keeps rolling in. The gold mine he invested in? Turns out there's no gold. No gold. Javier can't believe his ears. I even had an expert assess it to make sure, he roars in fury. Tell the miners to dig a little deeper. He refuses to accept the failure of his investment, acting like a gambler who's lost it all and can't walk away. This cannot be. Javier slumps into his chair. He can put off paying the debts for a little while, but this is a matter of pride. If word gets out that the house of Javier, the head family of the imperial faction, asked for a deferral on their debts, the blow to their reputation would be catastrophic. He cannot let that happen. Absolutely not. Just when Javier is at his wit's end, a visitor arrives, asking to see him urgently. The name is Ace. The name alone sends a jolt through him. Ace, the mysterious information broker, always brings unexpected news. Perhaps he could be the lifeline he so desperately needs. Ace brings crucial intel about trading companies and a crackdown at the harbor. To Javier, this information is a godsend. He trusts him completely. I see. I shall take your word for it, Ace. You haven't steered me wrong yet. He thinks he's found his way out of this mess, completely missing the subtle calculation hidden in Ace's smile. He's become much less wary of me, Ace thinks to himself. But then, Ace suddenly changes the subject, bringing up Count Mitterrand. He casually mentions that Javier himself told Mitterrand about his investment in the auction house. What? He said that. Javier's teacup shatters in his hand. The realization hits him like a physical blow. He's been played. Ace isn't here to help him. He's here to push him into an even deeper abyss. The trap has been sprung. Faced with Javier's shock, Ace just keeps smiling. He guides the conversation step by step, making Javier believe that he too is a victim, that he only invested to help a friend. Under the pressure of this carefully constructed verbal trap, Javier's defenses are starting to crumble. But there's no need to worry, my lord. You have me. Ace smiles, a tear glinting in his eye. It's a masterful performance, completely convincing. He successfully makes Javier believe that he is on his side. Little does he know, this is all just a setup for the final killing blow. Have I ever told you that I belong to Evil, the Intelligence Guild? Ace finally reveals his hand. The words strike Javier like lightning. What? Evil, the legendary Intelligence Guild. It's only now that he understands. From the very beginning, he was nothing more than a pawn on someone else's board. It turns out, Ace was Aiden all along. He used a false identity to get close to Javier, earning his trust step by step, only to deliver the final blow when he was most vulnerable. We can do the same for you, Duke Javier. Aiden's voice is chilling, laced with threat. Javier knows he's been checkmated. There's no escape. Meanwhile, Mabel is listening to the after-action report. The house of Mitterrand has fallen to ruin. Oh dear, she says with mock surprise, but her eyes are dancing with amusement. With Daddy having found out about his criminal activities, the former count should count himself lucky that he managed to avoid execution. This little tyrant is thoroughly enjoying the fruits of her victory. This is why one needs to be good and kind to others. Mabel thinks cheerfully. It's a shame they couldn't take down Javier in one go, but cutting off his financial pipeline is still a massive win. That snake, he's very careful about covering his tracks. But that's fine. She has all the time in the world to play this game. He must have been real desperate. Mabel thinks, nibbling on a macaron with satisfaction. Excellent. Then proceed with the rest of the plan as I outlined earlier. She can't wait to renovate Mitterrand's old manor into the guild's new office. With Javier's right-hand man eliminated, the Duke himself is next on the list. With the intense political maneuvering on pause, life returns to its daily rhythm. The attendant, Gustave, comes to visit Mabel with a gift. His bright smile and thoughtful present are like a ray of sunshine, bringing a moment of light-hearted warmth to the palace. Gustave is still apologizing for the auction incident, and Mabel playfully huffs that she's still upset. Internally, she's grumbling about all the money her dad wasted. He's probably flat broke now. What a spendthrift emperor. Still, seeing Gustave's sincere plea for forgiveness does soften her mood. Gustave's gift is a pair of exquisite baby shoes. Shoes? Mabel is pleasantly surprised. Gustave smiles, his cheeks slightly pink. The minute I saw them, I thought of you. The sentiment behind the gift touches her more than any expensive jewel ever could. They are pretty fetching, Mabel admits with genuine delight. Gustave gently helps her put them on. As she stands up to show off her new footwear, her face is alight with pure happiness. It's the most sincere gift she's received since being reborn. Mabel takes a few test steps, then hops with joy. The shoes let out an adorable squeak with every movement. For a moment, she's just a normal little girl, reveling in a simple pleasure. The attendants watch her lively display, their faces filled with fond smiles. "You're so adorable, Your Majesty." Gustave gushes, his eyes sparkling like stars. But inside, Mabel is having a complete meltdown. What is the meaning of this? Why on earth do these shoes squeak? She's a mature adult on the inside. Wearing something this childish is mortifying. Shoes that squeak with every step she takes. Mabel's rage meter hits maximum. She can't take it anymore. She collapses to the floor, clutching her head in a silent, furious scream. The attendants rush to calm her down. Please calm down, Your Majesty." Too late. Once tyrant mode is activated, it's not easily shut down. And from that day on, Mabel's nightmare began. Thanks to Gustave's successful gift, everyone started giving her squeaky shoes. She's 5 years old now, for crying out loud. She refuses to wear these childish things anymore. And so, a great princess escape begins within the palace walls. "No, ir refusa. I'm not going to wear them, no matter what you say." Mabel, decked out in sneakers, tears through the palace. Behind her, a posse of attendants gives chase. She runs like the wind, down corridors and into the gardens, all to escape the horror of the squeaky shoes. Just as she's about to be caught, she sees him, her father, the emperor. Like a little butterfly, she flies into his arms, joyfully shouting, "Daddy!" He catches her in a gentle embrace, his blue eyes filled with nothing but adoration. Seeing his daughter run toward him, the emperor's mind drifts back in time. He remembers a woman who used to call his name with such warmth, a home he once knew. The memories leave him dazed for a moment, until Mabel's voice pulls him back to the present. "Daddy." Mabel looks at her zoned-out father with concern. The emperor snaps back, looking at this child who so resembles someone from his past, and a wave of emotions washes over him. He masks his feelings, makes a quick excuse, and leaves. Some scars, no matter how old, still ache. The squeaky shoe saga is finally over. The attendants bring good news. They found a new tutor for Mabel. Oh, Mabel is intrigued. They say the tutor is the dean of the academy, a certified genius. Mabel's eyes light up. She has a feeling things are about to get very interesting. This so-called genius dean, Franz Alonica, is an incredibly arrogant guy. He thinks he's been hired to teach a know-nothing baby, that this will be the easiest job in the world. He's already calculating how to profit from the position. Too bad for him. He has completely underestimated his new student. The first time Franz meets Mabel, he's stunned. The cutest, most adorable person in the entire world is true, he thinks to himself. But his admiration quickly turns to annoyance at her disrespect. He decides it will be impossible to teach her anything if she doesn't respect him. These nobles, he swears. Franz insists on starting with picture books, which does not sit well with Mabel. "But I don't want to study picture books," she protests. Franz dismisses her as a spoiled child. He has no idea he's dealing with the mind of an adult. She's not here to learn her ABCs. "I want to study Bordeauxism," Mabel says, dropping a bombshell. Franz is dumbfounded. That's a theory even senior academy students struggle with. Convinced she's lying, he makes a bet. "If you can memorize the entire alphabet after seeing it once, I'll grant you one wish." Mabel grins. "Sounds good to me." The prey has walked right into her trap. Franz gloats, thinking this naive emperor is about to make him filthy rich. He doesn't know that Mabel only needs a few moments to perfectly write out the entire alphabet. When Franz sees the paper, he's too stunned to speak. So, she really is a genius. So then, teacher, my wish is... Mabel produces a blank piece of paper. For you to sign this. France stares at the blank contract, then glances at the stone-cold Aiden standing behind her, and a cold sweat breaks out on his forehead. He gets the feeling that if he doesn't sign, that boy will kill him. The genius Dean finally understands. He's messed with a true baby tyrant. End scene. France's signature is now on paper. A fresh new slave contract in Mabel's tiny hands. But that was just the appetizer. With wide, innocent eyes, she throws out a casual question. By the way, teacher, what are you good at? From stomach, isu pusuma. He fails to notice the look in Aiden's eyes behind her. Cold, predatory, like a wolf that's cornered its prey. The real hunt has just begun. Perfect. Mabel claps her hands, then immediately assigns him his new job. Let's put teacher in charge of our guild's accounting. Pay him generously. Looking at Aiden's refuse and you die face, what could France possibly say? He tearfully accepts. And just like that, France Alonica, the genius Dean, officially becomes Her Majesty's first slave. Look at that smug grin on our girl's face. Textbook-level villainy, and we're here for it. Meanwhile, in another part of the palace, a gentle soul is thinking of his sister. This is Oscar, Mabel's brother. He's quietly reminiscing about the happy times they spent together, crafting replies to letters. It was their little secret, their special bond. His world is simple. As long as he's with Mabel, it's full of light. Oscar feels it in his bones. Mabel must need his help with her studies. So, full of anticipation, he appears in her room like a gentle breeze. He has no idea he's about to hear the words that will shatter his heart. Mabel looks up, surprised but happy to see him. Oscar, I'm writing a letter, Mabel says, brandishing her quill with excitement. Then, with a proud, independent tone, she drops the bombshell. I don't need your help anymore, Oscar. I can write all by myself now. The words hang in the air, instantly freezing the mood. Oscar stops dead in his tracks, the smile wiped clean from his face. Yes, I was writing to Enrique, Mabel adds, completely oblivious. That innocent comment was the final nail in the coffin. Oscar flinches as if he's been physically struck. He feels his heart crack. Turning his back to her, he musters all his strength not to break down, leaving only a wounded whisper behind. So mean. Mabel is completely lost. What did she do wrong? Thankfully, her attendants are masters of emotional intelligence. They tell her with grave seriousness, "You were in the wrong, Your Majesty." Seeing their stern faces, Mabel almost wants to laugh. Oh, so this is what it's like to be gently called out for your mistakes in a loving home? The lady-in-waiting explains that Prince Oscar always looked forward to reading and writing letters with her. It was his most treasured activity. This wasn't just about helping, it was their unique bond. And it hits Mabel like a ton of bricks. She remembers now, Oscar always had a huge smile on his face when he helped her, and she took that gentle kindness for granted. More importantly, Oscar was waiting. He wanted to be the one to receive the very first letter she ever wrote by herself. That would have meant the world to him. Mabel's heart sinks. Technically, the first document she ever wrote was that forged mine deed for Gustav. But that's not the point. The point is, she broke Oscar's heart. Then I shall find Oscar at once and make him feel better. However, it's not going to be that easy. Oscar has started avoiding her with tactical precision. Mabel even tries the classic trip and fall maneuver to create a chance encounter, but she completely whiffs it. Staring at the empty hall, she points an angry finger into the distance. Oscar, man, that guy can really hold a grudge. He's completely dodging me. I can't even bump into him accidentally. Mabel sighs in the carriage, frustrated. Her attendant suggests, give him a gift with a letter. He'll surely forgive you. Not a bad idea, but what to give? Mabel watches the noble kids playing with a ball in the garden, deep in thought. Flowers? Too generic. A ball? He's definitely got one of those already. Wandering the streets with her sister Larima, Mabel gets more and more discouraged. A terrible realization dawns on her. She has absolutely no idea what her own brother likes. Larima, I might be the worst little sister ever. Her head hangs low, every strand of her hair screaming dejected. She doesn't just want any gift. She wants to give him something he'll truly love. And right at that moment, slap! A sharp, stinging sound cuts through the air. Mabel freezes. That sound, it's too familiar. It's like a key, instantly unlocking her darkest, most repressed memories. It was a nightmare she desperately tried to run from as Julian, but never could. The sound of her deadbeat father's abuse. The source of all her past life suffering. The traumatic flood of memories overwhelms her, leaving her breathless. Mabel's body starts to tremble uncontrollably. Is something the matter, Your Majesty? Aiden's voice pulls her back from the abyss. Just seeing his familiar, reliable face is enough to miraculously calm her racing heart. Yeah, just seeing Aiden makes her feel at ease. No, it's nothing. Mabel shakes her head with a small smile. That's right. That was all in the past. She clenches her fist, reminding herself. She's not the helpless Jewel Yoon anymore. Now, she has a real family. One that loves and supports her. She is Princess Mabel of the Ermino Empire. With determined strides, she heads towards the source of the sound. She's going to see for herself who dares to reenact the very scene she despises most. Behind a door, a red-haired man is roaring at a young boy. You useless fool. Can't you do anything right? Mabel's pupils constrict. That man is Duke Javier, the same man from the original story who nearly destroyed everything. The slap lands hard across the blonde boy's face, drawing blood. The boy takes it silently, his head bowed in humiliation. But when he lifts his gaze again, his golden eyes are no longer filled with weakness. They're filled with ice-cold hatred and resolve. An ominous purple aura flickers around him, as if something has awakened. Our story rewinds to 3 hours ago. Back then, Duke Javier was still playing the part of a loving father, fawning over his son, Enrique, and complimenting his new clothes. Thank you, father. Tears of gratitude well up in Enrique's eyes. He thinks this is a rare, tender moment between them. He has no idea that these fancy clothes are nothing more than the decorative wrappings for a sacrificial lamb, prepared for the slaughter. On the way to their meeting, the Duke casually mentions the family's financial crisis, but there's a smugness in his tone he can't hide. Enrique keeps his head down, a sense of dread growing in his stomach. As the heir, he knows his father never lets him near family business. Being brought along like this, it can't be good. When his father leads him into a VIP room, Enrique's internal alarms go off full blast. Why did he bring me here? A lavishly dressed man is already waiting, and his father greets him with an almost sycophantic tone. This is my son, Enrique. The Duke introduces him with the enthusiasm of a merchant showing off his prize goods. The man, Baron Khalifi, offers a gentle smile that sends a shiver down Enrique's spine. The boy greets him politely, but his mind is already screaming danger. The conversation that follows confirms his worst fears. His father is making a deal with the Baron for a massive loan. In the way that Baron looks at him, with undisguised, nauseating desire, the teacup in Enrique's hand begins to tremble. With the deal done, the Duke gets up to leave, pleased with himself. He pats his son's shoulder and says in a commanding tone, I'm leaving first. You stay and keep Baron Khalifi company. Make sure you treat him with the utmost courtesy. Enrique looks up in disbelief. Pardon? Baron Khalifi, notorious in high society. He has a specific, disgusting taste, preying on young, sheltered boys from noble families. And now, his own father is about to push him into this monster's jaws for money. Father, Enrique's cry is filled with despair. How? How can he do something like this? Duke Javier looks at his son with cold detachment, as if seeing a disposable tool. For the glory and wealth of the family, what's the sacrifice of one son? Enrique lets out a dry, sarcastic laugh. He looks at this man and, for the first time, feels true disgust. This is his father, an irredeemable piece of trash. Then I shall take my leave. Enrique gets up, his face an emotionless mask. He refuses to stay here a second longer. The Duke is stunned, then explodes with rage. Enrique, sit back down. But Enrique walks out without a backward glance. Why, that ungrateful. Seems you and your son are of two minds. Baron Khalifi's voice drifts in from outside the door. The Duke's face turns beet red. How dare you? Do you know how much work it took to make this deal happen? He storms after him, eyes blazing like a cornered animal. Wham! A sickening crash. The Duke's fist connects hard, not with the wall, but with flesh and bone. Enrique lets out a pained grunt and crumples to the floor. And that, right there, is the truth behind the sound Mabel heard. Just as the Duke raises his hand again, a brilliant light flashes. Mabel appears between them, like a literal deus ex machina. She tumbles to the ground, rubbing her backside and yelping, ouch, though her eyes hold a cunning glint. Did God take pity on me? Giving her the perfect chance to intervene. Enrique just stares dumbfounded. He prayed to see her again, but he never expected it to be like this. Yes, Her Majesty has arrived, appearing in the most unexpected way possible. She didn't just interrupt the assault. She brought with her a storm that's about to capsize the entire house of Javier. The show is about to begin. Mabel takes a deep breath, getting into character. Enrique and Duke Javier are still frozen in shock. The next second, a deafening wail echoes through the corridor. Wah! It hurts. She squeezes out a few crocodile tears, crying her eyes out like she's just suffered a mortal wound. Enrique is the first to react, rushing to her side. "Why, Your Majesty?" He's frantic to check on her. In moments, guards and maids come running at the sound of the commotion. "Your Majesty," seeing the little princess sitting on the floor bawling, sends everyone into a panic. This is the same princess who barely cried, even as a baby. "What's the matter, Your Majesty? Tell me what's wrong," the captain of the guard demands. Mabel sobs, and with tears streaming down her face, she raises a trembling finger and points directly at the pale-faced Duke Javier. He hit me. "All right, actors in position. Let the drama begin." "You." The captain's eyes turn razor-sharp. "How dare you lay a hand on Her Majesty?" The Duke is scared out of his wits, waving his hands frantically. "I'd never do anything of the sort." Meanwhile, Mabel wails even louder in her maid's arms. "Wah. Larima, I'm in so much pain. I think I'm gonna die." An acting performance so convincing, it would win her an Oscar. "Now you're resorting to lies. This is attempted regicide." The captain roars, absolutely furious. He gives the order without hesitation. "Arrest Duke Javier at once." The Duke completely panics, yelling, "No, please give me a chance to explain." But no one is listening anymore. "I won't hear any of your excuses." The guards swarm him, dragging the struggling Duke away. "Let go of me. I'm innocent. I tell you." His screams echo down the hall, pathetic and useless. Oscar, holding Mabel, watches the chaos unfold, a bit stunned. "What just happened?" Oscar gently takes Mabel's hand, comforting her in a soft voice. "The pest is gone now, so don't cry." Mabel looks up, tears still glistening on her cheeks, but the corner of her mouth is already curving into a victorious smirk. Mission accomplished. To Oscar, Mabel's presence is like a ray of light. The presence of that one single person was enough. That light alone was enough to chase away all his despair. He thought he was abandoned by his sister, broken by his father's cruelty, but Mabel's arrival saved him. Chased away all my despair with her light. And on the other side of things, a shadow lands silently from above. Aiden, Mabel's most loyal knight, has also arrived on the scene. And he's not so easily fooled. Mabel is still playing the victim. "Oh, a scratch? This is nothing. It doesn't hurt at all." But Aiden, the person who's been by her side the longest, could tell right away she was faking the whole thing. He's sure she hasn't even had the wound treated yet. The little con artist. But in spite of knowing that, the moment he saw the real scratches on her hand, he felt an urge to kill everyone around her. He knew he wouldn't go through with it, though, as it's not something she would have wanted. So, he chose to play along. Back in her room, Mabel instantly drops the act, letting out a huge sigh of relief. Phew, that was exhausting. That crying scene took a lot out of her. That piece of trash, she really wanted to kill him herself. But now, it looks like someone else will handle the dirty work for her. "Hurt. I told you, I was faking it. It was super convincing, right?" Mabel boasts to Aiden. He accidentally drops the first aid kit, squatting to pick it up in silence. Mabel leans in, taking his gloved hand. "Aiden, I can't believe you were tricked by my acting." Her fingers brush against his arm, and she notices a small wound. "Huh, you're wounded." Turns out he scraped his arm when he fell. Mabel covers her face to hide her chuckle, but Aiden's internal monologue is cold and clear. "Just as I expected. He saw through everything from the start." Aiden cleans her wound with a blank expression. Mabel teases him. To think there would be such a sweet, gentle side to you, Aiden." He just replies flatly, "All done." But his bandaged hand, just for a moment, reveals a dangerous aura that has nothing to do with gentleness. "Aiden, don't you think you overdid it with the bandages?" Mabel stares at her mummified arm, speechless. Aiden explains calmly, "If word spreads that you suffered a grievous injury, the negative impact this incident will have on Duke Javier will be far greater." Mabel is stunned for a second. Then a look of admiration flashes in her eyes. Holy crap, this guy's an even bigger con artist than she is. Her Majesty was severely injured while on an outing. Apparently, Duke Javier was physically violent with her. The news reaches the Emperor's ears like lightning. He explodes. How dare he hurt Mabel? The entire palace trembles with his fury. His precious daughter, his and his beloved Sina's daughter. Anyone who dares to touch a single hair on her head will face his unending wrath. The Emperor bursts into Mabel's room, yelling her name frantically. "Mabel, are you all right?" Seeing her father's worried face, Mabel immediately switches back to good daughter mode, calling out sweetly, "Daddy, this looks quite serious. How is the pain? Is it unbearable?" The Emperor asks, his heart aching at the sight of her exaggerated bandages. Mabel shakes her head and whispers, just a little, although it doesn't actually hurt at all. Her attempt to act tough just makes his heart ache even more. Was Daddy really worried? Mabel asks, batting her eyelashes. The Emperor lets out a weary sigh, gently stroking her hair. This sweet, silly girl. She's the one who's hurt, yet she's worried about him. But as she looks closer at the bloodshot eyes of her father, Mabel realizes something. He doesn't look well at all. More importantly, how dare Duke Javier raise a hand to you? The Emperor's eyes turn to ice. Causing injury to the sovereign of this empire is an unforgivable offense. Such a crime will not be dealt with lightly. The aura of a ruthless king radiates from him, already picturing the Duke's execution. Meanwhile, Mabel is quietly calculating her next move. Daddy, Mabel tugs on his sleeve, asking softly if after Duke Javier is punished, what'll happen to Enrique? Her question gives the Emperor pause. Far away, Enrique himself seems to sense something, a complex, cold smirk playing on his lips. Enrique is a good person, is the vague answer the Emperor gives. Don't you worry about him. Just focus on resting up. He knows his daughter is kind, but as an emperor, he has his own calculations. There are some things she doesn't need to know. After the Emperor leaves, quiet returns to the room. Lying in bed, Mabel thinks, I must have given Daddy quite a fright. Also, he doesn't just seem tired, but ill. A sliver of unease creeps in her heart. As she's lost in thought, she suddenly springs up. Oscar. Oh, Oscar's present. She almost forgot the most important thing. She's on bed rest because she's injured, but that present absolutely must be bought. Just as she's about to hop out of bed to find Aiden for a stealth mission, the door bursts open. Oscar. He's standing right there, watching her silently. And just like that, Mabel's great escape plan is dead on arrival. Oscar. Mabel cries out, delighted. Oscar walks up to her, his gaze falling on her over-the-top bandages. I heard Duke Javier slapped you. His tone is flat, but Mabel can feel the suppressed rage beneath it. Oh, right. She's supposed to be a critically injured patient right now. I'm sorry, Oscar, she immediately apologizes. I went out to buy you a present, but I ended up coming home before I could get you anything. She lowers her head like a guilty child. Because you're mad at me, Oscar. I wanted to ask for your forgiveness. She wanted to make up for it by getting him a present that's even more meaningful than a letter. As she speaks, she can't stop herself from hugging him from behind, burying her face in his back and whimpering. Oscar, I'm so sorry. Please don't hate me. Oscar freezes. He can feel his sister's hug, her words, melting away all the ice and hurt in his heart. Silly Mabel, I'm not mad at you anymore. Oscar turns to face her, his eyes full of tenderness. I don't need any presents. I was just avoiding you because I was embarrassed about how jealous I felt. I could never hate you. With the misunderstanding cleared, the two embrace tightly. You're my one and only sister. And you, Oscar, are my one and only brother. In this palace full of vipers, this genuine bond of family is Mabel's most precious treasure. Making up with Oscar lifted a huge weight off her shoulders. But then her thoughts drift back to her father's weary expression. Come to think of it, he's been looking a bit worn out lately. There's also a strange scent lingering in the room that puts her on edge. The scene cuts to a dark dungeon. Duke Javier kneels in defeat, awaiting his judgment. Footsteps approach, slow and steady, carrying an aura of absolute authority. The Emperor looks down on him, his eyes like chips of ice. The Duke feels like an ant under a magnifying glass, about to be burned to a crisp. He doesn't even dare to look his king in the face. Was it this foot that hurt my daughter? The Emperor's voice is utterly devoid of warmth. A cold sweat breaks out on the Duke's forehead. Asterisk, oh no. He's even angrier than I expected. If I'm not careful, I might really get my head chopped off. Asterisk, this is all a misunderstanding, Your Majesty. I swear I never raised a hand against her. However, if you only choose to believe Her Majesty's side of the story. Some may deem Your Majesty a monarch whose judgment is clouded by emotion. The Duke tries to corner the Emperor with his words. But the Emperor just retorts coolly, Is that what you think, Duke Javier? Just then, a voice calls from outside the door. Enter. The person who enters is Enrique. Seeing his son, the Duke latches onto him like a drowning man grabbing a piece of driftwood. That's right. My son Enrique can bear witness for me. He assumes that blood is thicker than water, that his son will save him no matter what. The Emperor's gaze shifts to Enrique, sharp enough to see right through him. He orders, Once you're done here, go see the imperial physician immediately. Enrique replies respectfully, Yes, Your Majesty. He doesn't spare his father a single glance. The Emperor is seething internally. This man didn't just hurt Mabel. He beat his own son, a boy the same age as Oscar, hard enough to leave him bruised and bleeding. This scum doesn't deserve to be a father. He recalls Mabel's testimony. According to her, when she tried to stop Duke Javier while he was physically abusing his son, he kicked her in a fit of anger. He looks at Enrique, waiting for his final statement. That's a lie. The Duke makes his last desperate plea. I was simply disciplining my son. Then Her Majesty fell while approaching us and started crying. Enrique, tell His Majesty the truth. Enrique closes his eyes, the image of Mabel's small figure standing in front of him flashing in his mind. He then opens them and says, with calm clarity, Her Majesty saw that I was being beaten by my father and ran over to stop him. That's when my father, in a fit of rage, dared to cause injury to Her Majesty. This testimony was Duke Javier's death sentence. Enrique, what are you saying? The Duke can't believe his ears. The Emperor's sword is already at his throat. I thank you for your testimony. The Emperor says, his voice as cold as steel. Duke Javier, you will no longer have a seat on the Imperial Council. The final judgment is passed. The Duke collapses, pleading, no longer have a seat. The House of Javier has always served you with loyalty and dedication. Please reconsider, Your Majesty. The Emperor remains stone-faced, ignoring his wails. Stripping him of his political power was just the beginning. What awaited him was a far more complete and utter ruin. You are hereby sentenced to house arrest. From this moment on, you are not allowed to set foot anywhere outside of the Javier estate. That's no different from being exiled. The Duke grabs the iron gates in desperation, screaming, Your Majesty, you cannot do this. But his only answer is the cold, final clang of the gate shutting him in. After the storm has passed, the Emperor looks at Enrique, his tone laced with something unreadable. Are you satisfied? Your father, who is physically abusing you, has effectively been rendered helpless. His words are a test. So, you knew the truth, Enrique says quietly. The Emperor doesn't deny it. Instead, he turns the question back on him. And you? Do you not mind the fact that Her Majesty lied? Enrique doesn't answer. He knows. Mabel's light is born from the unconditional trust and love of her family, and from the boundless kindness she shows to those around her. Her lie was spun to save him, and for that, he would gladly become a part of her scheme. The Emperor studies this boy with his clear eyes, silent for a moment. Then, in a tone that leaves no room for argument, he warns him. Enrique Javier, don't go getting any ideas about my daughter. Enrique freezes, stunned. This father's possessiveness is no joke. The Emperor turns and leaves, letting Enrique stand alone in the quiet aftermath. The storm has passed, but a new, unseen current has begun to stir. In this empire, kindness alone is never enough to protect what you cherish. The road ahead is still long. Meet the little princess. By day, she's royalty buried in paperwork. But by night, she's the guild master of a shadowy organization called Evil. And business is booming. Be nice to him, she chirps about their new cash cow, so he'll never want to leave. Her stoic second-in-command, Lean, just takes the orders. This poor green-haired dude thinks he's met a saint, completely starstruck by his mysterious guild master. Little does he know, he's just a pawn in her game. And the queen just slammed her hand on the table, ready to make her next move. Her plan? Simple, yet brutal. Turn every noble who gambled away their fortune into her precious customers. Or, as she calls them, slaves. She's not interested in getting paid back. Nah, she's holding that debt over their heads forever. As for her new teacher, he was unhappy at first, but the moment he heard his salary, the frown turned upside down. Money talks, baby. And this princess is fluent. But business has to wait. It's time to play princess. Lean reports that the mysterious stone from Duke Javier's mine is just an ordinary, or... Is that so? Our girl, Mabel, isn't buying it. Her gut is screaming that this is something more. But instead of pressing, she pulls a classic kid move. Briefing's over. I want to have tea with Daddy. The whiplash from her mood swings could give you a concussion. Her personal knight, Aiden, insists on standing guard, but Mabel shoos him away. You should get some rest. After all, she's officially gravely injured. Can't have her walking around perfectly fine, can we? She flashes him a dazzling smile. I'll be fine. Daddy will be there. The sheer cuteness is a weapon of mass destruction, and Aiden stands no chance. And so, our little princess makes a late-night visit to the Emperor's chambers. Her reason? I just wanted to see Daddy. A motive so pure, you can't even be mad. She finds her powerful new father, ruler of the Empire, being gently carried by a loyal subject, his expression a mix of tenderness and a deep, unspoken sorrow. His Majesty is asleep at the moment, the attendant whispers. Mabel's face falls. She recalls seeing him earlier. He was smiling, but his eyes looked so upset. Something's wrong with Daddy, isn't there? This girl's emotional intelligence is off the charts for her age. Just then, a cold, mocking voice cuts through the silence from behind her. Even me, Mabel whips around to see a pair of menacing green eyes staring her down. The prophesied savior of the world, and a target since the day she was born. The danger she'd been sensing is no longer hiding in the shadows. It's here. Despite her guards insisting she's the exception and telling her to come right back out, Mabel pushes forward. She has to see her father. The heavy door creaks shut behind her, marking the first time she's ever been in his bedroom. But instead of warmth, she's greeted by a thick, suffocating smoke. The entire room is filled with it. This strange, ethereal smoke. Mabel's senses are on high alert. She knows this isn't a normal illness. She sees her father on the bed, breathing steadily as if in a deep sleep. But the sweat on his brow and his pale complexion tell a different, more sinister story. Daddy looks so pale. She reaches out a small, bandaged hand, trying to touch his face to check on him. But the very second her fingers are about to make contact, Y&K, a powerful force pulls her away violently. In the chaos, she's thrown onto the bed. A figure lunges, pressing her down, a cold dagger aimed for her heart. "Who are you?" she screams in terror. But her attacker seems just as confused, growling, "You dare ambush me in my bedroom. Wait a second. That voice, it's her father?" Under the influence of some hallucinogenic herb, the Emperor mistook his own daughter for an assassin. He strikes out of instinct, but in that split second, he sees not an enemy, but the ghost of his late wife. "See, Sienna," the recognition comes too late. The blade has already sliced into Mabel's shoulder. He freezes, the weapon dropping from his hand. No, no, what has he done? Mabel is consumed by pain and shock. She sees her father's trembling hand, hears his incoherent apology. "I'm not quite myself at the moment." For our girl, this is more than just an attack. It's a nightmare from her past life bleeding into her present. The image of her abusive father from her past life, fist raised, flashes before her eyes. "I don't want him to hit me," her soul screams. But this embrace, it's different. This isn't the grip of an abuser. As he holds her tight, whispering apologies, she looks up, confused. "Daddy." This embrace is filled not with hate, but with heartbreaking regret. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry." The Emperor kneels by her bed, repeating the words like a mantra, like a broken child. Seeing his anguish, Mabel's own tears fall. But in this moment of shared pain, she reaches out and gently pats his head. "Daddy, it's okay. I'm here." Instead of blaming him, she's the one who apologizes. "Sorry for sneaking in and startling you. I'm so sorry." She can feel his pain, his regret, and beneath it all, his love. This man, this is her real father. In this moment, the trauma of her past and the hope of her present finally find their balance. She holds him close, reassuring him. "I'm all right, Daddy." This terrifying accident didn't tear them apart. It forged a bond between father and daughter stronger than ever before. Another day, another lesson. Mabel is meeting with her teaching priest, and this guy looks like he means business. Our girl sits there, arms crossed, bandage still on her arm, looking like a tiny, adorable godmother ready to make him an offer he can't refuse. When asked about her injury, she plays it cool. "I tripped and fell." Yeah, right? But she has to lie, to protect her father, and to keep their enemies from sensing weakness. This little girl is carrying the weight of the world on her tiny, bandaged shoulders. The priest seems to see right through her lie, but he doesn't call her out on it. He just watches, his gaze analytical. This reincarnated princess is an enigma, wrapped in a riddle, and carrying the fate of the world. Then, something magical happens. The bandage slips off and poof. The wound, the bruises, everything is gone. Whoa, even the bruises are gone. Mabel is amazed, but the priest calmly states, "You don't have the ability to heal yourself." Ooh, plot twist. "But how come I can't heal myself?" Mabel presses. The priest explains that even some holy people have this limitation. This just confirms her suspicion. This guy knows more than he's letting on. Then, he places a small pouch on the table. "Open it." Inside is another glowing crystal, similar to the one from before. "Is this a divine artifact too?" she asks, her eyes wide with excitement. The priest confirms it's a moonstone, but there's a catch. A mole swapped out the refined artifact he sent for this raw, unpolished, ore. Turns out, these so-called moonstones are actually the cores of the trees of Genesis. Ancient trees, imbued with the power of God himself, spread across the entire continent. But there's a problem. According to the books Mabel has read, most of the Genesis trees have disappeared. The fate of the world is hanging by a thread, and our girl is just starting to realize it. The priest reveals an even darker truth. The only reason nature still flourishes is because of the few remaining cores. But now, someone is systematically destroying them. The world's divine power is bleeding out, and the clock is ticking. The cores are being destroyed. Mabel is horrified. The ongoing drought, the impending apocalypse, it's all connected. The weight of this revelation is immense, a burden no child should have to bear. If this world were to disappear, everyone she loves, all the happiness she's fought for, it would all turn to dust. No, she won't let that happen. Not on her watch. What can I do to stop the apocalypse from happening? The determination in her eyes is unmistakable. Seeing this, the priest finally smirks. The game is afoot. We need to find the cores before they're completely destroyed. It turns out, only people with immense divine power like her and the priest can resonate with and absorb the cores. And as the one spoken of in the oracle, Mabel is the chosen one. The only one who can do this. So I'm the only one who can do this. Mabel's mind is racing. If that's true, then why was Duke Javier collecting those cores? Could he be connected to the drought? The pieces of a massive conspiracy are starting to click into place. Meanwhile, in another corner of the empire, a red-haired man returns to his gloomy estate. Esteban Is Hermano, a name that seems to carry the weight of a dark destiny. He's seething, utterly humiliated by the words of that brat, Mabel. The shame has ignited something dark within him. He clenches his fists, struggling to contain the inferno of his rage. He pulls open a secret drawer, retrieving an ornate box. Inside, a dark crystal ball ripples to life, revealing the image of a man, Duke Javier. The plot, as they say, thickens. Their target, the moonstones of the Hermano Empire. Esteban is under orders to smuggle these precious artifacts into another kingdom. A conspiracy against the entire empire is unfolding in the shadows. He reports his progress to his shadowy master, his voice dripping with disdain and ambition. But simply completing the mission isn't enough for him. He plans to use this opportunity to ask for help from the highest authority in the land. This guy isn't just a pawn. He's playing his own game. Meanwhile, in the calm before the storm, Mabel is having a picnic with her brother, Oscar. He's noticed she's been down lately and gently coaxed her outside for a breath of fresh air. His thoughtfulness warms her heart. As she enjoys the delicious cake, a sense of peace washes over her. It's moments like these, with family by her side, that she cherishes most. But she can't shake the worry she feels for her father. He's been avoiding her ever since that night. Usually, the second he heard she and Oscar were having a picnic, he would have come running. Oscar gently reassures her, saying their father has just been busy with work and will come see her soon. He pats her head. His touch is comforting as a warm blanket. But Mabel knows the truth. He's avoiding her because of what happened that night. Because of the name he called out, Sienna, her birth mother, a woman she knows almost nothing about. In the past, she never felt her mother's absence, thanks to the love of her new family. But now, a curiosity sparks within her. Oscar, what was my mommy like? Oscar's eyes soften with memory. He tells her how kind she was. Even though he wasn't her son by birth, she loved and cared for him deeply. That love was the sunshine of his childhood. She was kind, but strict when it came to right and wrong. She would scold him for being greedy, but then hold him close when he cried. The memory brings a fond, nostalgic look to Oscar's eyes. And in a chamber deep within the palace, the emperor drinks alone. He heard about the children's picnic, but he couldn't bring himself to go. The shadow of that night still haunts him. Lysandro, you should have stopped Mabel that day, he says, his voice cold. But Lysandro can only state the obvious. As I've said, Your Majesty, I cannot stop her. You know this. It's the same for you. Yep. Stubbornness runs in the family. At the mention of Sienna, the emperor's cold facade crumbles. He misses her so desperately, so painfully, that he resorted to using illusion herbs just to see her again in his dreams. The tragedy of that night was born from a love that deep. Lysandro teases that if Sienna knew what he'd done, she'd be angry enough to ignore him for a year. The emperor actually blushes at the thought, a soft smile playing on his lips. He could just picture her adorable, pouting face. So that's why he missed Mommy so much. Listening from behind the door, Mabel finally understands the depth of her father's pain. And she makes a vow. He will never use those illusion herbs again. She pushes the door open, a ray of light piercing through her father's darkness. Daddy, her voice is clear and bright. The emperor turns, surprised, and sees the little sun that brightens his world. Can I sleep with you tonight, Daddy? She looks up at him, her eyes sparkling with hope. It's a question that melts the emperor's heart on the spot. How could he possibly say no? He gently lifts her into his arms, stroking her hair. You can sleep with me tonight. Hand in hand, they walk down the starlit corridor, all the pain and distance between them vanishing into the night. He gently leads her by the hand through the magnificent palace corridors. The light itself seems to dance around them, blessing this precious moment. The warmth between them is enough to heal any wound. Looking around her father's empty room, Mabel feels a pang of regret. When she was younger, he'd always ask her to sleep here, and every time, she stubbornly refused. She never realized how lonely he must have been. Now I feel bad, she mutters. Her father approaches, his gaze soft and knowing, as if he can read every thought in her little head. This man gave her a new life, and with it, a father's love she never knew before. He asks about her wound, and she beams, insisting she's all better now, not a single bit of pain left. She doesn't want him to worry anymore. Her face is a picture of pure, unadulterated happiness. Aren't you afraid of me, or hate me? The Emperor asks, his voice barely a whisper. Mabel just shakes her head, her voice firm. But I don't hate you. You're my daddy. Those words hit him right in the heart, a warmth spreading through his entire being. Tucked into bed, Mabel lets out a yawn, then slyly tells her father she has 2 wishes. The Emperor, amused by her forcefulness, can't help but smile. He'd give her anything she asked for. Her first wish? To take back his order restricting all boys between 5 and 15 from the palace, because she wants to play with Enrique. The request hits the Emperor like a lightning bolt, turning him to stone. All his imperial dignity evaporates in a puff of flustered panic. You're not a liar, are you, Daddy? She asks, hitting him with the ultimate guilt trip. Defeated, the Emperor agrees to reverse the order. As for her second wish, Mabel decides to save it for later. A little secret just for her. Looking at his clever, adorable daughter, the Emperor can't help but sigh fondly. Even in this, you are so much like Sienna. What was Mommy like? Mabel asks softly, nestled in her father's arms. She remembers what Oscar said, that she was a kind person who genuinely loved him despite not being her birth son. A love that transcended blood. The Emperor drifts back into memory. The first day he saw Sienna, she was crawling out of the rose bushes, looking utterly disheveled, like a lost little kitten. He approached her, gently offering a hand. The way his heart hammered in his chest at that moment. He remembers it like it was yesterday. He gently plucked a leaf from her hair. That clumsy, beautiful girl stumbled right into his heart and never left. He was only reaching for a leaf, but in that moment, he felt like he had captured spring itself. Her presence illuminated his entire world. Her fingers brushed against his chest, and his heart skipped a beat. Ojolt, Oreish, Alsaiden clarity. That was unmistakably the moment I fell in love with her. A simple, pure beginning to a love story that would define his life. Back in the present, Mabel snuggles closer to her father. Daddy, she murmurs, her voice full of affection. This happiness, this feeling of being loved and protected, is something she's never experienced in either of her lives. Do you miss Mommy? She asks. Even with Oscar and I by her side, her questions are always so direct, yet filled with so much warmth. Because I miss Mommy, she confesses, tears welling in her eyes. But then a smile breaks through. But because Daddy and Oscar are always with me, I'm all right. She hugs him tight, soaking in the warmth she thought she'd never have. Yeah, I'm all right, because I have you. This love is enough to heal any wound, to fill any void. The Emperor holds his daughter close, speaking to his late wife in his heart. I am sorry, Shanna. Forgive me, just for tonight, for loving our adorable daughter a little bit more. The pain of her absence is still there, but because he's not alone anymore, he thinks he can bear it. Father and daughter sleep, wrapped in each other's arms. Tonight, there are no nightmares, only warmth and peace. Her new life, in this moment, has truly begun. And so, the seasons passed. The roses in the palace bloomed and withered, leaves carpeted the grounds, and snow blanketed the world in silence. And through it all, our princess was growing up. At last, the day of the knighting ceremony for the Imperial Order of Knighthood has dawned. An unusually large number of nobles have gathered for the event, the air buzzing with anticipation. And why all the fuss? Because this year's youngest knight is none other than the Prince of Erminot, the heir of Countess Donovan. Oscar Alain Erminot, the gentle boy who once protected her, has grown into a dazzling knight. The crowd murmurs about his prodigious talent, his powerful aura, and his notorious exclusivity. It's said that out of all the balls he attends, there is only one person he will ever dance with. And that person is the very princess now sitting on the throne, crown on her head, commanding the attention of the entire hall. Our girl, Mabel. Mabel Gardenia Ermino, a name that now echoes throughout the Empire. She's no longer just a little girl who needs protecting. She is a symbol of the Empire itself. Despite the pomp and circumstance, Mabel is already bored out of her mind. I should have the ceremony shortened a bit next time, she thinks. The guard next to her looks equally unamused. Seems like no matter how much things change, some things stay the same. But the second she sees Oscar smile at her, all that boredom evaporates. Oh my stars! Her heart does a little backflip, and the girls around her squeal with envy. That princely charm is just unfair. The Empire has 3 rising stars: Princess Mabel, the angel descended from heaven; Enrique Javier, the darling of high society; and Prince Oscar, the prodigy knight. And the fates of these 3 are more intertwined than anyone knows. The ceremony continues as the knights prepare to swear their oaths of loyalty. The ceremonial gift box is presented. The main event is about to begin. Mabel holds the ceremonial sword, her expression solemn. She is no longer the child hiding behind her father. She is the monarch, accepting the fealty of her knights. Her transformation is complete. Then it's Oscar's turn. He walks forward and kneels before her. He looks at her, and in his eyes is a depth of emotion, a fierce resolve that no one else can see. I, Oscar Le Hermano, as I enter knighthood, vow on my honor. His voice is not loud, but it rings with absolute clarity through the grand hall, that my sword will be directed against my liege's enemies, and my shield will solely protect my liege. Until the day I draw my last breath, I vow that I will only lay down my life for your sake, my liege. In his oath, there is no empire, no god. There is only her. The crowd is stunned. This is the first time they've ever heard a knight's oath without a mention of his own honor. But Mabel, she smiles. That's Oscar, the Oscar she knows. And in return, he gives a small, shy smile that only she can see. With the ceremony over, it's finally time for their first official picnic. At 14 years old, Oscar has officially become her knight. The sun is shining, a gentle breeze is blowing, and a new chapter of their story is just beginning. The knight's oath is still fresh in the air, but the mood at the celebratory dinner is a little intense. Oscar's father, a duke, is praising his son for altering the oath, calling it a stroke of genius. And our boy, Oscar, he just smiles and says, "It'd be my honor to lay down my life for Mabel." But hearing that sends a chill down Mabel's spine. Please don't. Also, just his life? What could be more important than his life? Later, it's dinner with her dear old dad, the Emperor. The topic suddenly shifts to her guard, Aiden. Where's Aiden, by the way? Mabel's heart skips a beat. The truth is, Aiden's on a secret mission she assigned, infiltrating the enemy nation of Devlin. But can she tell that to her ridiculously overprotective father? Fedino. Oh, I heard there's a really good dessert shop on the border, so I sent in to buy some for me. A perfect excuse, except her dad totally buys it. What? My daughter wants to try street food, and she can't get it? This is a disgrace to the imperial family. He slams the table and makes a dramatic declaration. We shall go on an outing, the 3 of us. Now, Oscar is thrilled, shouting, "Yes, father," while our girl Mabel is just left thinking, huh? And so the spontaneous family outing begins. Stepping out of the palace for the first time, seeing the bustling market, Mabel is actually pretty excited. She naively thought this would be a trip free from guards and servants. The reality? She's got her dad holding her left hand and Oscar holding her right. 2 grown men sandwiching her like she's the crown jewels. Welp, so much for freedom. As it turns out, her dad and Oscar's protection is more extreme than she imagined. Mabel glances at a diary for a second too long, and her dad tries to buy the entire shop. She accidentally bumps into a passerby, and Oscar's sword is halfway to the guy's throat. Mabel finally snaps. Are you 2 done? If you keep this up, I'm never going on an outing with you again. While resting at a tavern, they overhear a conversation from the next table, putting a baby on the throne. This empire is doomed, a drunk man yells. Her father and Oscar's faces instantly darken, their killing intent palpable. But Mabel, surprisingly, feels a sense of relief. Finally, someone with common sense in this crazy empire. She almost wants to give the guy a thumbs up, but she knows if she doesn't stop them, her 2 bodyguards are about to level this place. Sheathe your swords, she commands calmly. I don't care one bit what those people say about me. Not when I have the 2 of you by my side. Her words strike a chord, deeply touching her 2 protectors. But right in the middle of this heartfelt moment, a loud crash echoes through the tavern. A man is thrown across the room. Mabel turns in shock, only to see the last person she ever expected to see here. Aiden. Mabel's eyes go wide. What are you doing here? Wasn't he supposed to be on a life-or-death mission in Devlin? The mission she lied about, pretending he was just out getting her dessert, all to keep her father from worrying? Turns out, Aiden's mission was already complete. Just as he was about to return, he overheard those men bad-mouthing Mabel and caught wind of a bigger conspiracy behind their words. He didn't hesitate to take out the trash. He was simply following her orders. If things get dangerous, come back immediately. And for him, any disrespect towards her is the greatest danger of all. Mabel plays along, pretending Aiden really was just delivering sweets, successfully getting him away from her father and Oscar's interrogation. But inside, her mind is racing. Her connection to the secret intelligence guild, evil, must not be revealed. If it is, the freedom and companion she's fought so hard for will be snatched away by her control-freak father. The immense stress gives her a splitting headache, and she faints on the spot. Meanwhile, a spy trailing their carriage is intercepted. The one who stops him is a member of the intelligence guild, evil. However, this encounter alerts an ambitious player within the guild to something unusual. That boy, he didn't seem quite human. And our master, who is he really? A new storm is brewing in the shadows. That's right, Mabel Gardenia Erminot, 9 years old, princess of the empire. And also, the true master of the continent's most powerful intelligence guild, evil. For the past 4 years, she's been playing the part of an innocent princess while secretly pulling the strings, fighting against a man trying to destroy the empire, Varen. A madman willing to start wars for revenge and immortality. Varen and his ilk aren't taking a break while I rest. I can sleep when I'm dead. That's her answer every time Aiden tells her to rest. With money and trust, she has forged her guild into the sharpest sword, methodically destroying her enemy's foundations. Capitalism wins again. But the enemy is also making his move. A mysterious purple-haired man, Varen, the Emperor of Devlin, has his sights set on her guild. He scoffs, believing that money can control anyone, including her most capable subordinates. A plan to infiltrate evil is quietly set in motion. At the same time, another storm is about to hit the palace. The annual swordsmanship tournament is approaching, and this year's champion will be granted one wish by Princess Mabel herself. The news drives the entire continent into a frenzy. A ridiculous rumor begins to spread. Win the tournament, and you can marry the princess, changing your life forever. The number of participants doubles, with ambitious men crawling out of the woodwork. Mabel's father and brothers immediately go on high alert. Call off the tournament. We can't. Then get rid of the champion's wish. It's an age-old tradition. We can't do that either. Finally, His Majesty the Emperor comes to a simple conclusion. Fine. Then I'll just kill whoever wins.